And okay, uh, talking about Sameach Kulam and Happy Easter, and everyone welcome to the second episode of Cast in the Shadows. And I guess what do we got first here? We got a lot of stuff came out this month. Not a lot of Star Citizen stuff though. Um, have you guys seen any of the new Star Citizen updates? I haven't been keeping up to date as often as I'd like to.
I've seen some of it,
Not
but
too
not too
much, no.
many. Obviously, 3.9 is not yet out. It's still
No,
in out of here.
it's in the L patch now on the PTU.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, but they have, according to the roadmap, everything's pretty much done. Uh,
Yeah, it's just getting unstable there.
Let me actually bring up the roadmap.
Yeah, I don't.
So according to the roadmap, yeah, everything's done except for the new contacts list, which we desperately need.
Yes.
Very
We
much
can all
so,
agree
yeah.
on that.
And then
We covered.
did it say prison missions were completed?
I think all of them are.
Oh,
Yeah, prison missions are
yeah,
completed.
okay, yeah.
So last I saw or heard, the Idris got taken out, right?
It did. I
Yes.
think it got moved to 4. Oh, let me check if they even included it here. No, they don't include it here. But I think it got taken out.
Hmm.
Oh, they moved the M50 improvements to 4.0.
And
As
then
well
the
as
only
some of the weapons.
in the ship for the 4.1, it's still the Star Runner, right?
Yep. And then we got the Prowler. We saw some footage of the Prowler recently. What do you guys think of it?
I will say, I absolutely adore the cockpit of that thing. That looks freaking amazing. Like, it's, you get in there and it's fully enclosed, and you turn it on, and it's just like, you have screens around you instead of actually just being a cockpit with whatever their version of glass is.
Right, like it reminded
Yeah.
me of the Titanfall, the Titans in Titanfall, where like it's
Yeah.
just that this like digital display. It's not actually like a glass screen or something.
In
Yeah,
terms of,
I mean,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, I really like the aesthetics of the Prowler a lot, but I don't know if it's necessarily a ship that I'd pick up.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it it flies first, and then what kind of gameplay we have. Because I mean, how many drop chairs does it have? Like 10 or something on the inside. So I mean, you're
True.
gonna have to have a whole bunch of people there with
Yeah.
you, and
It is a stealth dropship though. That's different than the others that we have.
True, but stealth gameplay in general, at least for now, isn't really implemented fully yet to the point where it's
Yeah,
useful.
that's the. It'll be nice to see though, a more gameplay stuff like the boarding crafts come into game.
Oh yeah,
So
I
I think
can't
it's
wait
good
for
that
those.
they're doing the Prowler.
Yeah, like they have that Van Duel boarding craft that looks like it's like something that just drills into your hull and then injects troops into you. That looks terrifying to come across.
yeah, I'm looking forward to when they finally get missions in the game that will require those kinds of vehicles. Because right now there's really no need for it or use for it unless you just have an org or a group of people that want to get together and have war games.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is the problem at the moment. Is that we still rely heavily on player-created events.
Yeah, missions don't really reflect ship gameplay. They more reflect like just normal gameplay. Like it's not
yeah.
like you actually have like the ship uses. It's just, do you have a ship with a gun? Yeah.
Well, for example, things like with stealth, you could have something like, hey, your buddy or whoever is stuck in the prison. you need to get them out. If you go under, you can choose to go under guns blazing. However, you're now going to have security forces on your ass the whole freaking time. So, if you go in instead stealthily, then you go and you have a much better chance, at least initially, of completing the mission without having security forces riding you the whole darn time.
Yeah.
So, you could have something like that, but it remains to be seen if we'll get anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, with prison gameplay, that should at least tip the scales more, and we don't need players to create everything. The gameplay will come more naturally. Like, oh look, one of our members is now in prison. Let's go break him out. As opposed to let's create a prison breakout event where we'll have a bunch of guys guarding someone on a ship, and then we'll have another bunch of guys, Blue 4, Op 4, and all. Like, instead of having to organize all this stuff, we just do it naturally. Like, oh, one of our guys is there. Let's just go in and get him.
I love the fact
we don't have to plan everything to the
players.
detail.
I love the fact that players can organize those kinds of things, and the game caters towards that. But it would be nice to have some baseline missions for you to do, in case you don't have a huge 20 or 30-man group online.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind that players organized events are going to be a thing probably for all eternity. Star Citizen's existence. It's just right now it's all we have, or relatively.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the events that you guys are talking about, the type of prison break stuff, is going to be, or it's going to link the universe together a lot more, because it's not like, oh, I have to go find 20 different people who for 30 minutes before to try and do this prison break. It just happens, right? It's not something you're expecting, right? It's like, oh, it's a cool piece of gameplay that is just part of the world instead of something that you're setting up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something big. Like, for example, that Idris mission would probably look as great as it would be to have the Idris in game. From what I've seen so far, it's no different than, say, like having the 890 mission. It's really fun, but you still need something more. And this may just be me, but I think there's also some story elements that are kind of missing to grab people and get for that natural feel of gameplay, as opposed to just player organized events and everything.
So you had sent that link with the Overlord helmets. Those look pretty sick, hey?
Yeah, let's actually I have the link right here. Let me get to that. And they're here. These are the Overlords. And here's that really cool kill on sight poster they had.
Now, I will say they look cool, but I'm not a fan of those paint jobs. I want something that's a little more like a nice dark gray, dark tan, brown, something that'll be a little more stealthy. I mean, I know the paint jobs aren't covering the whole thing, but even still.
The first thing I thought of when I saw those helmets was Transformers.
A little bit. Like, when I first saw the, I can't tell here, this image, I'm like, oh, so it's like an Iron Man and a Captain America helmet. But yeah, it totally looks like all like different colors. It looks like each Transformer. They got like a Bumblebee here and
like at the main screen that you had up there before. If you look at them, they're just what I would expect to be on top of a Transformer.
I mean, they're cool helmets. Don't get me wrong. It's just And they did say that the actual armor, like that you see here, is going to be in the next month's subscriber flare, so you'll be able to get the full set. Because the armor does look pretty cool. It's just, it's as you said, Cam. Like, I prefer something a little bit different. Yeah.
Now, one thing I can't wait for, and I know it's probably going to be a very long time coming, is when they were talking about the armor customizations and being able to customize your armor like you would customize your ship to, suit the terrain, the mission, the conditions, your personal play style, all of these things together. That is something I cannot wait for. Just being able to be like, hey, this is my personal armor. This is set up to facilitate the way I play, to either increase my strengths or shore up my weaknesses or however else. But that's what I can't wait for.
Yeah, and even adding on that, I can't wait till they they add in weather, so armor will be affected by that too, right? It makes you think
Yep.
about
Yep.
you're not just taking out light, heavy, or medium armor. You're actually taking out armor specifically for what you need.
Well, that's what they talked about in that armor architecture panel at CitizenCon this past year, where it was they split it up into, I forget how many it was 3 pillars, and each pillar had like, you know, their heavy, medium, and light. And it was
It was
your
like
combat
exploration,
fighter,
combat, and-
combat specialist. Sorry, there's 4: combat fighter, combat specialist, utilitarian, and utilitarian specialists. I might be wrong
something
on the
like that.
second two,
Like there
but
was a mix between like combat and like survival aspects.
like for example, the Inquisitor armor that that I wear a lot is under combat specialist, and they said that the upcoming bounty hunting armor is going to be combat specialist, and they use the analogy that combat specialist is more, you know, spec ops, whereas combat fighter is more like your standard marine outfits in the game.
Yeah.
And they said, you know, like, oh, combat fighter, like say the modern marine armor, right? It'll be like, oh, this one has a higher ballistics resistance, whereas the combat specialist may have higher energy resistance or something like that. And then they talked about gamma radiation, and then obviously the weather effects, and how the Caldera suit is going to be your snow suit. It protects you from cold environments. It's going to have a counter where there's a suit that protects you from hot environments and
Now,
such.
do we know with 3.9? Are we still? I know before they talked about it that we were going to be getting the first stage of the player interaction system in terms of like with the weather affecting you and being cold and all that stuff, and then thus having the new Caldera armor to protect you from that. Are we still getting that 3.9, or is that unknown right now?
The player status effects should still be in 3.9. Let's go back to the roadmap here. I think, yeah. So, okay, no. So weather locomotion is, and we covered a bit of that last month. Did they add the player status effects? I'm just seeing if they added it into future patches. I'm not seeing it anywhere.
I was fairly certain they said that it would be in 3.9, but I don't know if it got pushed.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
just
know
wondering if
either.
it got pushed back because everything's
Is that a part of gameplay maybe?
Let me check. Gameplay. Player interaction system improvements. No, that's just like the inner thought and stuff. Here, player status system view.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's done. They're just polishing it.
Cool, excellent.
Yeah,
That'll
they'll add a
be
lot
good.
of fun gameplay.
Oh yeah. I wonder, is the Caldera suit going to be in 3.9?
I would assume, because I mean, I've seen them talking about it, wearing it, and all that kind of BS. So.
Yeah. Well, we
Since
know
you just
that.
since you just mentioned it, we can talk about the new interaction system for weapon attachments in that.
Hmm.
Isn't that supposed to be in 3.9 also?
I
I
believe
got
so.
player here.
Or no, did that get pushed back to 4.0?
Oh, here, let me. It would be under
Because in the
gameplay,
last
right?
pillar talk, I thought they were talking about it being in 3.9.
I know it was originally planned for 3.9, but I thought I heard, I could be wrong here, but I thought I heard it might have gotten pushed back.
Data, is it?
No,
it's the interaction system with weapons. So it's
so
like the
where you
old
can actually look at
inspect
the weapon
version.
in your hand and attach stuff. And...
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Because remember, they said, Sean Tracy said he wanted to get Theaters of War in by 3.940. So, and we haven't
you
heard
guys
anything on
watched
that either.
the latest pillar talk?
I watched it. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they were talking about it being in 3.9.
Hmm.
Oh, we'll find out one way or another.
Yep.
Yeah.
Soon, team.
Yeah. Right. Oh. Well, before we take off Star Citizen, anyone have anything to say? I just want to mention this about the moons, Microtech's moons, because they mentioned this, how they managed to do it in like, what, 3 days or something? Make all 3 moons?
Not 3 days. It took them longer than that.
Or maybe it's like 3 days per each. All I know is that they cut the time and how to make the moons significantly shorter than.
I think they said all 3 moons took like 2 weeks. And that
Okay,
was
so
like
I thought
a
it was
3-man
months
team or something.
something.
I just remember.
No, these are just moons from Microtech. All the when they did the new Planet V3 tech, it took them 3 months to redo all the moons or locations in the system that we have right now. But just the moons for Microtech, I think they said took.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what else about Star Citizen. I've been keeping up with it a bit, but not.
I've been
so.
keeping up. It's been a really quiet month.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll say that
Quite a couple months.
even with the, I'm not real thrilled. Thrill's not the right word. I'm not looking forward to prison gameplay that much, but I am looking forward to all the different tools that are going to come with that.
Yeah.
Like stun weapons and possibly restraints, and the gameplay that will come along.
Yeah.
Because now when somebody's running around on your ship or just being obnoxious, you don't have to kill them. You can just stun them and lock them.
Right. Well, here's the stun weapons. I think
Or even just
The
stun them,
electron
like,
weapons.
they're standing outside your ship. You can tell they're obviously going to try to do something. You just be like, bzz, tase them, they get knocked down, walk onto my ship, lock the door, and be like, hey, well, bye.
Yeah. Well, here this is for players. This is only for tracking NPCs.
Okay.
But yeah, this is like eventually they'll get it for players, and you can just knock them out, drag them into a prison pod, and bam.
Take some people hostage or something.
That too.
Probably will be a mission out there, yeah.
They gotta add criminal missions as well. So.
But yeah, that'll definitely.
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh no, I was gonna say it'll definitely bring quite good gameplay when you're able to stun people more than just the 2 seconds from the melee.
Yeah. Because they literally, at most, it took 5 seconds and they'll just get right back up.
Yeah.
And you have to be behind them for that to work, which is
Yeah.
Oh, they I believe they did talk about decreasing the latency, so it's not going to affect the PU as much. But for the other game type, Star Marine, it should make it much snap.
Oh yeah, Star Marine definitely needs some tweaks, especially if they want to get the Theaters of War working properly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright, well I'm kind of drawing a blank on anything else Star Citizen related.
No,
I have to say,
As
I
of news for this month. I mean, we can talk about it endlessly, but in terms of
Now,
new
with
things.
Theaters of War, have we heard, is that going to be coming with 3.9? I know they were going
They
to
have
try
said.
it, we don't know, but...
They were aiming for 3.9 from what I can tell, but they never gave a precise date. They just said, we're going to try.
So we don't know
They
if that's
made the
coming or not.
maps in the Planet Tech V3, and now they're moving it all over to the V4, so they're taking their time with that, I guess.
Okay. Well,
I have
hopefully.
to say, I can't wait to see the new moons for Microtech.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
look really good. And they showed some footage of them too.
Does anybody know how to pronounce that last one?
Uterp? Uterp? I don't know. I guess that works. Uterp.
Doesn't it have
Uterpe?
an E on it? I think they were
Uterpe?
E.
I thought it was like Uterpe or something. Something silly like that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the E is not silent in that name.
It's Italian, and it's fancy.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know about any much more Star Citizen news. So
you guys want to move on to next thing?
Sure.
Alright, so what do we got next? Next we got regular gaming news. You guys want to start with Doom Eternal or the Halo reveals?
Yeah, so let's start with Doom, I guess.
Yeah.
I have not. I've seen it, and it looks insanely good.
Now, one of my buddies did get it, and I had read up on it and was kind of seeing with it that it looks like it's a very different game from Doom 2016. In that, with Doom 2016, it was pretty much here's some guns, here's some tools and stuff you can use. Here's demons. Go to it. That's pretty much as they really held your hand to it.
It was pretty much Doom, not the original Doom, but in 2016.
Yeah, but with Doom Eternal, it's much more of a this is for this enemy, whatever that enemy is, this is the approved strategy for taking them out, whether that's using a certain weapon or a certain tactic or whatever. And if you don't use that proper tactic, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, like
Uh,
each demon has a weak point. Like the Arachnitrons, it's the little turret above their head, or the
exactly.
Mancubus, it's shoot their cannons.
Yep. And so my buddy did go and buy it, and he messaged me there, and he was like, "Why the fuck did you have to be right?" And I'm just like, "Oof."
I will say though, I was comparing the images of the classic Doom Marine outfit in the game to the cover art of the original Doom, and they absolutely nailed the classic outfit. It's I can say it's cover accurate, it's art accurate, it's screen accurate, whatever. It looks great.
Yeah, I think.
I will say I don't know how much I like not being able to kind of play how I want to play.
Yeah, it's and it's pretty interesting. I mean, everyone kind of knew this already, but they actually like confirmed it in via story. Like, yeah, because some people didn't know. Like, yeah, Doomslayer is Doom Guy from the original game. It's the same person.
Yes.
It's just like, well, why would he like? Well, why they have different names? Well, you imagine how stupid. Like, you're Doom Guy. Like, really, you're gonna call like someone in universe Doom Guy? No, Doomslayer sounds a lot cooler. That's his in universe name.
Yeah. Exactly. But I think,
and of course, there's the Doomicorn.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think especially with how games have been being released, I guess, and just the games that are being created, I think it's really good that we're seeing games like Doom do well, games like Jedi Fallen Order do well, because it's kind of, I feel like a lot of the developers for
Outer
games
Worlds
recently have kind of pushed off single player games for more multiplayer games. So I think it's super good to see that these are being well received. So hopefully they'll get the idea.
Yeah, it's essentially take the original, like say Halo 2 and Halo 3, right? It was a single player with co-op game and had multiplayer attached to it.
Yep.
It wasn't multiplayer with single player in it. It's a single player game, right, which was the standard game at the time, and then just had multiplayer added on, which was an added bonus.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Doom Eternal's the same thing, and same with Doom 2016. I've been playing a lot of that lately, especially the multiplayer stuff. The snap maps are really fun, and it's a pretty fun game, like multiplayer wise. Even though especially when you play the campaign like 7 times over, and you're like, I need something new. Well, the multiplayer really does that. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a game that I've been considering picking up because it looks super good.
Yeah. And this the Doom Eternal one just looks like, it's like, let's take everything that was great from Doom 2016, let's take everyone's criticisms, and let's just make a new game out of that. And that seems to be what it is. I mean, they even took like the more minute criticisms, like, oh, the demons don't look like the original Doom's demons, like the imps. Now they do. You know, or same with the Mancubus. Now they do. You know, it's And they even added some Doom 2 demons in there and some new ones that they just made up. And so, whole new game.
And then, so you were saying something about Halo announcement? I haven't seen that.
So yeah, we have some. So New York Toy Fair 2020 was a little while ago. Oh, let me just get to the first image. So before I get into that, first off, we have a new book announcement. Halo Shadows of Reach, which is, I guess like a prequel book to Halo Infinite. And I have the cover art on the stream right now, but you guys probably can't see it right now on Discord. But it's the new book. The cover art is very reminiscent of the original Fall of Reach cover art. I mean, it's pretty much identical. It's just instead of them in CE Mark V, they're in the new, was it Mark 7 or is it just Mark 6 Gen 3, I think it was. But they're all in the new armor from Halo Infinite trailer, or the opening cutscene.
The new armor looks great.
It does. It's pretty much the Halo Legends, the package armor with subtle tweaks, and a more Halo 3 looking helmet.
Now,
Have we gotten much news about Halo Infinite? I was gonna say.
So that's why I wanted to do this, because Halo, New York Toy Fair had some Halo toys revealed, and here, let me actually just pull them up on the tab here.
Yeah, I ask because as somebody who played a lot of Halo, I just haven't been keeping up with the series recently because I felt the last few games were just, well, you know.
Yeah.
They were the last few games. So.
Yeah, no, the 3-4-3 ones kind of suck. But they had some new reveals that I want to say just show off the new Spartan armor. So here's Halo Reach Mark V. I mean, I've drawn this design so many times, like I recognize it instantly, and played the game so many times. Now, so you have, Cat here. And then they showed off a new Halo Reach inspired. It's almost like if the Halo Reach Mark V was in the package, the Halo Legends short. Like, it's definitely got the package kind of design to it. And I've heard people saying it's the new Spartan 4 armor. I've heard people saying it because if we look at the Shadows of Reach cover art, sorry. So here's the cover art for that. And they're all wearing the same armor as Chief here. You got, well, obviously Kelly's in her EVA helmet, and Linda just has smaller shoulders for a lower profile. But aside from that, they're all in the same exact armor.
Yep.
So they're all Spartan 2s, so that's why people are saying, well, maybe this is the Spartan 4 armor, and it looks more like Mark V from Halo Reach. And I don't know, what do you guys think? It definitely looks more Halo compared to old 343 designs. Let me just pull up some for comparison. Halo.
Oh, man, when they took over Halo 4?
Halo 4 was, yeah.
I'm saying when they take over on Halo 4, some of the armor is just, yeah, it looks weird.
I mean, I don't hate, like, Chief's look in Halo 5 and 4. I don't hate it. It just, like, how can you go, like, look how much better that looks. I mean,
yeah,
like, that screams Halo. This,
just doesn't. Not the same way.
I mean, like, there's really good cosplayers here, but,
I haven't played a Halo game since Halo 3, because I haven't really had a console since then. So, I don't know, I might check it out when...
I made the mistake of getting a Xbox One in hopes, like, right before Halo 5 came out, like, oh, I'll get it for Halo 5. Then Halo 5 came out, and I'm just, well, this was a bad choice. Should have got the PS4, especially with all the console exclusives like Spider-Man PS4 and Ghost of Tsushima coming out at some point. I'm trying to find the really, really dumb-looking helmet from 343. I don't know if you guys seen it.
Is it? Are you
The
talking
radio-
about the unicorn one?
No, radio-looking. It's like a radio-looking helmet. I don't remember what it's called, but it was this here. I wonder what happens if I see worst. 343 Halo designs. There we are. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a
Wow.
real helmet in 343. Yeah, here it is in Halo 5.
Well, that's painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember this from Halo 4, and I was like, I don't know, that doesn't look very Halo to me.
Yeah, like you just look at that, and then compare it to that, and it's like
Yeah.
world of difference. Like that looks like Halo. Like that looks like a combination of the Mark 5B and 343's recruit armor. You know, like the recruit helmet.
Yeah. I
So-
will say I've been kind of disappointed with 343 so far with Halo in terms of the games. Like, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
in terms of the lore and stuff, sure, that's not bad. But in terms of how they've been handling the games, not great.
No, their
Yeah.
games have been pretty lackluster in my opinion, especially in stories. I mean, and here's the thing: like the books they've been putting out as of
Oh
the
yeah,
last
those are
5
really
years are actually pretty good. Like one of my favorites, I think of all time, let alone just of books after 343 took over, are like Halo Envoy.
Yeah.
It's just it's a good story. It's a good book. It's like a pretty self-contained story too. It's not like universe ending or anything like that. But yeah, with the games, they've kind of, like Halo 4's story isn't terrible. It could definitely be better, but Halo 5 story is just abysmal, and the gameplay for both those games is. I mean, Halo 5 isn't bad, at least when you're playing like some Forge map that someone made, because they
Yeah.
usually make it with the gameplay in mind, and they're actually really fun. Like there's a Jenga map I played a lot back in the day. It was funny. But like Halo 4, I hated the loadout thing. I hated the loadout thing wasn't bad in Spartan Ops. I feel like that was the only good thing in Halo 4. Like I wanted to see more of that. The Spartan Ops. Like I like that little self-contained campaign story, and you got to play as like you were the Spartan fire team, and you made your character. It was like a mix of Noble 6 from Reach, right? You made your character like Noble 6 looked however you wanted him to look. It was like that, but you're playing with your friends and you're playing a campaign together. The campaign itself needed a lot of work because it was kind of just defend this thing, go retrieve that thing. It was very, very basic, but that's why I was kind of hoping, okay, maybe in the next game it'll be a lot better and more fleshed out, or maybe even more present in the game. But to me, it's just a missed opportunity. It's like how Assassin's Creed Unity had that co-op system for some missions, and I was so happy because I finally got to play Assassin's Creed with my friends. Like, because you'd think Assassin's Creed co-op, that would be incredible. You can like tag team enemies and stuff like that, but it was such a missed opportunity to continue with that and flesh that out in the next game as opposed to what actually happened where they just scrapped it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the last Halo I played was Halo 4, and like you said, the campaign in it was just there's a certain feel, I feel like, to a Halo game when you're playing the campaign and they're just missing it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's
It feels much more like a generic shooter as opposed to because I mean like when you play like now Halo 1 definitely rough around the edges nowadays, but I mean you play even Halo 2, Halo 3, there's just a feel to
Halo
the mission.
Reach.
It's like sure, in some ways it kind of does get boiled down to the essence of shooter, but at the same point it's done in such a way that it's like this is what a shooter should be in terms of story elements, in terms of the objectives you're doing, how you're doing the dialogue lines for characters, where enemies are, all that together just makes it into this. At least for me, this is what I want when I play a shooter. Like, sure, there could be
Yeah.
like one or two stuff that I personally would like to see better or more of, or stuff like that. Sure, but in terms of just a basic shooter, this is exactly what I want. It goes above and beyond with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, exactly. There's that feel that's missing, and like in Halo 4, I know they try to do a very like character-driven story with Chief and Cortana, and she's dying.
Yeah.
Like that's all good and fine, but and
Well, I mean, the
they
story
had the balls to
itself
kill
would've
her
been
off. It made
fine.
sense.
The story itself would have been fine on its own, but the problem is that the way it really played out, it didn't seem to make sense to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the
And
execution that was the problem, not the
Yeah,
concept.
it's like the story itself, they could have done a good story with it, but I mean, just too much weirdness. And then, of course, where they went with it with Halo 5, which I'll know I did not play Halo 5, but I've heard from enough of my friends who did play it, and they're going, man, we don't know what the fuck happened here.
Yeah, that I've like one of those. I've played Halo 5. It's not. It's so bad. And again, it's another missed opportunity there because you have again that whole 4 players in the campaign, and you don't do anything like cool with it. Like you don't even
Yeah,
do
there's
something
no
like
point to it.
Star Wars Republic Commandos, anything with it. It's not. There's nothing to it's just okay, now it's just you playing regular campaign co-op, and it feels very restrictive compared to most Halo campaigns too. Like the maps are very small, and there's like a certain path you're supposed to follow.
Oh, hell no. Yeah, no, that kind of junk is just, ugh.
Also, I do want to point out that the screen I have on the stream right now is or you with the what's face, both Chief's armor in the cover and in Halo Infinite, and the new Spartan armor, presumably for Spartan 4s, presumably. They have brought the space diaper back. I'm sure a lot of people will be pleased about that. It's seriously like the black undersuit with just red armor, as opposed to like the rainbow colored everything.
Yeah.
Because that was the problem I had with Halo 5 is your armor, your undersuit had a color.
Yeah.
Like it had like your torso was usually red or blue or green or whatever color it was based on your armor color, and it's just like, no, the undersuit would be all black. That's the whole like Halo has a certain look at this point. You can't just like I've heard this analogy before. It's like, well, it's like if you were just to completely redesign the lightsaber and how it looks. Like you can't do that. It's been 40 plus years, or in case of Halo, it's been it's been 20 years next year. It has a predefined look. You can't just change it at this point. There's a certain art style. Now it doesn't say, like, for example, I liked the Halo Wars 2 was I think the first game to go in the right direction. Like a sign that 343 was actually listening and making changes for the better, because if the art style in both the gameplay and the blur cinematics, the blur cinematics largely just reused assets from the Halo 2 anniversary cinematics in terms of like elites and all that, but for instance, for Spartan Red Team and for the whatchamface, the Spirit of Fire, they had to make new model. Like they're straight from Halo Wars 1. Like they look exactly as they did there. So, and then they have the whole in the game. I think someone can correct me, like either one of you or someone in the comments eventually. I think in the Halo Wars 2, they had both versions of the grunts, Bungie and 343, and the Bungie ones were like your normal grunts, and the 343 ones were your suicide grunts. And I thought that was a pretty cool concept, where this way you can use both, but they play a certain...
Well, I thought the suicide grunts, so the suicide grunts meaning the ones that where they pull out the grenade and they charge you, right?
Yeah.
I thought those were just normal grunts, and that was just...
They were, but this is Halo Wars 2 is RTS, so.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
But like
So,
I
yeah, I
heard
haven't
someone
played Halo
say
Wars.
that, you know, what if, like, say the jackals, like you have both jackals, you know, like the Bungie ones are the snipers, and then you have the 343 ones, which are like you're more like charging into you with their energy shields and all that.
Yeah.
And then I heard someone say bring back skirmishers, which I'm all for.
Yeah, I haven't played Halo Wars 2. I think I played the beta a long time ago, but I haven't.
Yeah, I played that beta
recently.
too. Here, I just want to find here, like this is some. Well, this is a trailer, but it's still using those cinematics. Like here's an elite in the cinematics, and obviously you got red team here, and like those look like your. Oh wait, it's not showing up on this. Here, like there's red team, and those look like, you know, Spartans in Mark IV.
Yeah.
You know, and here these are elites. You know, they look like elites. They have the classic Covenant carbine there, and it's colored red to match their armor and faction and all that, but the design is the same.
Yep.
So do we want to move on to another topic away from Halo then, or
Yeah, let's see. What else do I have?
move on to our comics?
No, we still have some. We got Doom Eternal.
Oh, no,
We
we
didn't
got-
cover. Okay, so E3.
Movie.
I wanted to cover this a bit. E3 was canceled, in light of everything else being canceled with the whole Weng Chang Bio-Threat, as I've been calling it, as humorously. And now I know a lot of people are kind of upset because, you know, we're not going to be without E3 you won't be getting all sorts of cool reveals and all that, but I don't know if you guys know this, but last year's E3 they doxed almost all of the attendees. Like, you know,
no, I didn't know.
numbers, names, address, etc., email was all available on the ESA website, and
Wow.
it was like,
good.
yeah, exactly. It was like, what the hell?
Yeah, that doesn't exactly instill confidence for future.
No, and also keep in mind,
Cons.
PS4 wasn't going to be attending. PlayStation wasn't going to be attending this year, anyways. Neither was Nintendo, I think.
Oh.
It was essentially just, I think everyone except for like Square Enix and Microsoft were going to be here this year, and maybe Ubisoft. So it was just 3 people.
So
No one else was really going to be there, as
were
far as I know.
Sony and Nintendo, was it a result of last year's issue, or was it?
I don't know. Sony hasn't been there for like the last 2 or 3 years, so.
Yeah.
Don't they have their own special?
They have their own. Nintendo now has their own. Everyone's kind of getting their own thing now. Really, the only people that were still relying on E3 for major news were Microsoft and Square Enix and a few others like Ubisoft. And
Which kind of sucks because it's nice to have everything kind of centralized where you can watch one stream and not have to go to a bunch of different streams for releases and announcements. Yeah.
Well, as far as I know, it's not like they're all competing for the same time frame. So there's that. But
No.
it's nice where they just go to one thing and everything's there.
Yeah, exactly. You spend one weekend watching game reveals instead of spending, 3 different weekends throughout this
Yeah, and you're like,
this or
oh, did
that
you hear about
month.
this? No, I didn't even know that event existed. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, obviously, it makes sense for them to move away though, because then they're not.
Yeah, like
If they're trying to build hype, it's easier to build hype when your game is at the center of attention for right then.
Yeah.
Whereas E3,
Yeah.
you're bringing it to a bunch of different games. It's hard.
I mean,
there's
it
still,
kind of be like Star Citizen trying to get into E3. It wouldn't work out very well for them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's some things where it just, you need your own thing. I mean, I don't know, most of these Cyberpunk reveals haven't really been we had that trailer and Keanu Reeves revealed at E3, but the more meat and potatoes of Cyberpunk, like the really good reveals, are usually outside of E3 anyways.
True.
Like the demo was at Gamescom, And okay, well, in 2019 E3 they did have that behind closed doors demo that some people got to see. But in terms of to the masses, no one like who's not physically there. It's usually some video on YouTube that they post or something on their website or some I don't know, something. It's usually somewhere
I'm
else, not E3.
I'm gonna be honest here. I absolutely hate the hype machine. I can't stand it because most games don't live up to it. So as
So
far as game reveals, I like being able to see what the game's gonna look like. But if all you're gonna do is show me trailers and tell me how great your game's gonna be, I mean, I don't really care about any of that.
Yeah, and well, just
Sure.
another reason why you can see I'm not exactly heartbroken over E3 not happening this year.
So within that realm of the hype train and new games, have you guys seen Valorant?
I have not heard of
I
it.
have not. No.
That is the CS:GO clone, kind of made by Riot.
So yeah, essentially, if you guys don't keep up with the Riot games, they announced Project A, which is very very different from their original game, League of Legends, right? So it's an FPS that is essentially it takes the movement kind of and the shooting and stuff from CS:GO, I guess, and it has abilities and stuff added into it. But yeah, it looks like a really good game to me at least. But
I've watched a lot of streamers play it, and I mean, I'm not really in the CS:GO scene, so it doesn't cater to me specifically. But um, it's kind of an interesting idea on the whole. I don't know what kind of game type would you call CS.
it's
Shooter.
I wouldn't want to call it a tactical first
I
person shooter
mean,
because
it
that
is
I feel
kind of
like
tactical though because it has like the way you attack and defend makes a big difference on, or it
yeah.
has a lot to do with the way the game plays out.
Yeah, the reason I say that is just because I know there's games like Rainbow Six Siege, that kind of thing, where it's a lot more slow. But yeah, I mean, I guess just yeah, I don't know what that'd be
I mean, it's
considered.
basically like the same idea of CS:GO. There's one team trying to plant some kind of bomb that the other team is trying to defend, and it's permadeath per round. The only difference is they've thrown in different characters that have different abilities.
Yeah, essentially. So essentially, CS:GO and Overwatch mixed, not in what their gameplay draws from, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
But I
I
mean,
mean, it's
it
interesting.
actually. Sorry, go for it.
It's interesting, and you can tell they're trying to turn it into. It's designed mostly for like the esports community.
Oh yeah, and I mean you can see heavily with the art style and that kind of stuff. They're trying to make it, and so it's going to be a free game, but they're trying to make it so as many people can play it as possible, right? So
Yeah.
they're trying to get, and I mean, if you so the way they're doing the beta right now is through drops through streams, and I think they're actually going to have quite a few players, and I'm excited to see how the scene goes because there was, I think, they almost set a new viewing record for a game on Twitch, but I believe League of Legends has them beat out on that. So, but yeah, it's a game that I'm looking forward to for sure.
Right. I just want to say one more thing on Halo, just because I have an image on the stream here that the new Spartan armor that they have, the forearms are very reminiscent to the Halo CE. Just another sign that they're going back to, well, the spiritual reboot. Like everything's mirroring CE. You know, Shadows of Reach is going to release before Halo Infinite, just like Fall of Reach did, and the cover art's nearly identical. Yeah. All right. So console news, we had a lot of this month. They did an analysis of the Xbox, whatever the new one is called, and the PS5. They had an in-depth analysis of the hardware, and we recently got the PS5 controller revealed,
Yeah, there's a lot of talk
and
on that.
it looks a lot like an Xbox One controller. I'll admit I love the PS4 controller. It's really good. It reminds me of the PS2 controller, and that's always a plus. I don't know. This one looks alright.
It's sort of reminiscent, sorry, of an Xbox controller, but
I mean, I don't really
don't
care
know.
what a controller looks like. It all to me the important thing is functionality. How does it
Well,
Yeah,
look?
mine's
you're gonna.
And as
functionality
long
and
as
how does it
it's
feel.
amazing, then who cares what it looks
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
my problem is just based on how it looks, it shouldn't be a problem in terms of how it feels because functionality and how it feels in my hand. That's why I love the PS4 one because it works really well, and it feels great. It's light and it's good to use, and that's what you kind of want in a controller. You want it to actually feel good to hold because you're going to be holding it for hours on end to play games.
That it almost kind of makes me wonder if they got complaints or something about the touchpad because it's like almost on a slant and it looks like it's almost raised up a little from that picture. Like that blue behind it, it almost looks like it's on a little bit of a raise.
Yeah, a little bit.
Maybe it could also be indented a bit more.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but
Lighting doesn't help. We have the hardware announcements, and then we got. Oh yeah, Half-Life Alyx came out. I was just talking to Chris about that.
yeah,
He was saying it was really good.
Yeah, it looks
So
insane.
if I could afford the Steam VR kit, I would totally get it because Half-Life Alyx and Boneworks look like the kind of VR game experiences that I want. But right now, it's a little bit out of my price range.
Yeah, it does definitely look nice. I've actually been thinking once they get back in stock that I'm probably going to get a Rift S and get Alex, Boneworks, probably Beat Saber, and a couple other things.
Yeah, Boneworks and Half-Life Alyx. Chris was telling me because he played both. They're very different experiences. Boneworks is it's a VR game made for people. It's a VR game made for VR players, whereas Half-Life Alyx is like a VR game made for people just getting into VR.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
whereas Boneworks, you can climb around, and pretty much anything you can do with your hand while holding the controllers, you can do in the game. Pick up anything in the world, and if one of those robot head crabs is coming at you, you can catch it midair and blast it with your gun, or just chuck it aside or something, or bash it or whatever. And in Half-Life Alyx, it's more of a traditional single-player story-driven game, but in VR,
Okay.
and you're with the VR gimmicks. But it
isn't
still utilizes
Boneworks
the
kind of specifically designed for the Steam hardware?
for the Valve Index.
Or that's what I
controllers,
meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where each of your fingers actually is each of your fingers
Right.
in the VR world,
Yeah.
which is incredible.
Yeah, so from what I've heard, apparently, the Index is supposedly the best VR setup right now. That's correct.
Yeah, but at that price range of $1,000.
Yeah. No, that's quite expensive.
I mean, when you boil it down, my problem and part of the reason why I never really got into VR, even though I had the money here, is that when you boil it down, VR is essentially just a controller and display option. So I mean, even if you take the price of a higher end controller, so let's say 100 something bucks, and the price of a nice monitor, so even 200-300 bucks, you combine that, you're still talking like maybe $500 for higher end versions of these. So it's like for $1,000, and I mean, there's some cool stuff like the Index has the ability to do individual finger tracking, which that's pretty darn cool. But still at that price range, nah. Maybe another 10 years when that drops down to half. But
One thing I will mention about it, and I think that part of the reason it's got a bit more of a price, I do believe it's 4K, right? Like it's 4K. That for one game's come out with in VR for 4K, but I believe it's 4K compatible for when that happens. I'm not sure.
Well, on top of that, though, a game like Boneworks that gives you an immersive experience you can't get with a regular controller. There's no way you would be able to do the things that you can do in that game with a regular controller. So, as long as you're playing games that provide that kind of immersion and that experience, then I can understand it costing a little more. I mean, $1,000 is still really steep for a system, but
Yeah,
Once
I agree.
once
with
they
you.
can reduce that, I don't know, say $500, I think that's reasonable.
I think it needs
Well-
in order for the price to go down, it needs to do two things. It needs the hardware, the manufacturing cost of making them needs to go down. And then, or at least they need to get a lot more profit in where they can just lower the price because they're making so much. And then there's the fact that VR isn't that streamlined yet.
Yeah, I
I
was
don't
going
know.
to
If
say.
you've watched Boneworks, it gives you the ability to play the game how you want to, kind of.
Yeah, I just
mean,
had the trailer running in the background, and it's
the
incredible.
things you can do in that game are things that you really can't do in any other game at the moment.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you. You're not buying just a controller or a visual monitor. You're buying an experience, and I think that's a lot more what they're selling it as.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that somewhere within the next 2 or 3 years, probably VR will be a lot less expensive, especially too because right now, if you think about it, we're just getting VR out, so they're constantly going to be innovating on it. So it's going to be constantly, oh, this is going to be more expensive, right? When they put out that, it's going to go down in price, but of course they're going to have something out next year that's more expensive. Maybe not
So-
next
True.
year, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times new hardware will have that one game that is the defining game that you say, well, this is what the hardware can do. I think Boneworks is that game for VR. Where it gives people an expectation of what you can do with a virtual reality machine, because
Yeah.
games up to this point, they just didn't seem that great for me, and the resolution's pretty low, or the graphics aren't that great because the hardware can't support it. But Boneworks is kind of that stepping stone to showing you what is possible, and I mean, I think it does an amazing job, and I can't wait to be able to play it.
Yeah, either that or the game was based off of a gimmick, I guess, or not a gimmick, but almost in a sense a gimmick of VR. It's like
Yeah, it's like
it's not
some kind of VR
it's not
gimmick in most
yeah, it's
VR
not
games.
marketed as a game. It's marketed as you can do this in VR now, right? It's like you're not buying a game. You're buying, oh, I can mess around with this, mess around. So I think with a game like Boneworks, obviously it's a lot better because you're being instructed to do something. It's not like, oh, I can do this in VR. It's I can play a game in VR, right? And same with
Yeah.
Alex.
Yeah, it's Boneworks and Half-Life Alyx. Like as what Chris was telling me, they're different experiences, both really good. But I got like VR, like Half-Life Alyx is because it's that well-known IP. It's got to market to a broader audience, and because most of that audience really doesn't have VR, or haven't really played VR or whatever, it's more kind of your more story-driven, follow a narrow path kind of game, like most of the Half-Life games, where Boneworks is whatever you can do, you can do. Like if you want to climb that wall and hop over it or whatever, then you can do that and get to the next area, but that way or whatever. Like the footage I have here, like this guy's he's trying to shove a zombie into a locker, and he
I
does
think
it.
he actually does it. I've seen that video.
Yeah.
He actually gets him in there. Goes to
But like, see, like that's the thing. Like you can do whatever you can think of, given the limitations of the game, you can probably do it.
Yeah.
For example,
Yeah, I
you can
definitely
slap
think-
the zombie's ass.
I've definitely been looking at the index because it looks like super good, especially because like you said, the fingers. It looks super fun to try and use.
It probably no doubt needs getting used to when you first get it, but then once you're probably used to it, it's incredible. Probably most likely. I haven't
Honestly,
played it, so.
I can't wait until they get some good FPS games that use that. I mean, I can just imagine what Star Citizen would be like with that kind of tactile feed.
Yeah, when I was
Yeah,
at
I think-
Halo Outpost Discovery back in the summer, they had Halo VR, but it was pretty much you're just playing 4v4, only using plasma pistols, and you're essentially just floating plasma pistols and a floating helmet.
Yeah, they have. If you look up Pavlov VR, I think that's one of the better FPS games for VR.
I've seen footage of Pavlov VR. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the problem to me with that is it just doesn't look great.
Yeah.
Well, again, it's like it's one of those like it's cool, but it's like for example, I would probably say again, Boneworks is probably your better option.
Yeah, and that's another kind of gate to people being in or getting into the VR scene with the PC is that not only do you have to have the VR setup, which if we're talking about Valve Index is $1,000, but you also have to have a CPU and a GPU that can run that hardware, which is also really expensive if you want to have high fidelity. So until that hardware comes online and becomes cheaper, then the games that developers are creating are not going to be as visually stunning as something you would get for just a traditional AAA title.
Like for example, this is the demo they had for the Valve Index. I think when it first came out. Honestly, it's like a Portal type of thing. And the humor's still there. Like they actually managed to nail that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, with VR, hopefully it just gets cheaper sometime here soon, which I imagine it will. But
yeah,
I mean, it's definitely something that me personally, I'm willing to buy into.
I think VR probably is the future of gaming. Might not be in our generation, but the next 15 years or so, it's gonna probably be the.
Probably, yeah.
Either that or we get the personal matrix.
Yeah.
I would like that, but minus the 15-inch needle going into my head.
Yeah.
Look, after the second or third time, you hardly even feel it anymore.
And the energy harvesting part too. That's probably not that good.
Not to sidetrack us onto the Matrix, but so the actual again, this is probably some amount of revisionist BS, but the actual story behind the Matrix was that humans actually aren't being harvested by the robots. That's just the cover story. So you've got layer one, which is the Matrix. Everyone's going about their normal humdrum lives, but some humans, their brain is configured in such a way that they know it's not real. Those humans are allowed to be taken out of the Matrix, and as you saw, even like it was shown, Neo woke up in his little pod thing. It goes and it drains the pod. A little, like, if I remember, a freaking robot drone actually came and like picked him up and like dropped him off, and then
they removed the needle out of his brain.
Went and pulled him out from like some little dropped off area he was left at. All of this stuff, and then all the hijinks they get into in the real world, where they find out that the machines are harvesting humans, and it's like there is no conceivable way, and there isn't any hand wavium way that it's explained of why they would use humans as an energy source, because the amount of energy it takes to go and feed or even just keep a human relatively healthy, because as you saw when he got brought in, like, sure, his musculature wasn't great, but he was still relatively healthy otherwise.
He was in the same physical shape that he was in the Matrix, which you'd have to imagine is for every human.
Relatively. But the amount of energy it would take to do that, to maintain that for all these humans, is far more than what they would get from harvesting a human. And again, this might be revisionist BS, but it's then said that, and there's a couple other things that point to this, the real world where they're harvesting humans and all this stuff is just a second layer to the Matrix. They're still in it.
Gotcha.
It's essentially like I've figured out the plan, and it's like, you figured out what we wanted you to figure out, but good job on you.
You hit our fail safe. Congratulations.
No, that's exactly what it is. And there could be hitherto unknown more levels to the Matrix as well. Because if I remember right, in Matrix 3, Neo is actually shown using some of his powers in the real world, which would be impossible because in the real world, he's just a normal human. Whereas in the Matrix, he is the one, like, for whatever reason, his brain or whatever is configured so
Yeah.
that the Matrix gives him these additional abilities that everyone else does not have. He could not use these abilities outside of the Matrix, so that alone lends huge credence to it. And now,
Well, I guess
for the reason why they did this, why keep humans alive, even if they are in these pods or whatever else, maybe that's real to a point, but why are the humans still alive? I mean, the robots could easily just wipe them all out. I mean, hell, just switching over to geothermal energy instead of human energy would be far more efficient, let alone solar or anything else.
Yeah.
So there's two main theories to that, to essentially why why are the humans still alive here? The
Yeah.
first
So
theory is that there was a war and the humans lost, and the robots essentially went and put the humans into this essentially into the matrix, this virtual reality, to work out a better solution other than just because the robots were like, we don't want to kill you guys, but we have some conflict here and we can't really figure out a great way to go and have both of us living. Because you could theorize that humans would have put, as machines got more and more advanced,
yeah.
that they would have put in a, hey, if possible, keep humans alive, some kind of a base level command like that, and they're like, okay, we're gonna follow this command, but we still want to live too, and so this is kind of their temporary fail safe or something like that, to go and keep most of the humans alive while they work on a better solution to allow for peaceful coexistence. There was one other theory I
Okay.
heard, and it was an interesting one. Now, this one I would say is more just a theory as opposed to something that they might have actually conceived and put hints at in there. But the theory is that the Matrix and the second layer of the Matrix, all of it is just bullshit. It's obvious it
Yeah.
exists, but that the the people in the Matrix are machines, are AI.
Okay.
And the point of so the first level of the matrix is just to provide a building block. Hey, here's the world. The second layer of the matrix is to provide a, hey, this isn't that's not the real world. Here's the real world. Here is this massive conflict going on that we are dropping you people into, that you got to deal with. And so, and those people that are put into the real world, that aren't just your average person in the matrix, these people dealing with the real world problems of fighting against the machines and all that, struggling for freedom, all this kind of stuff, those are AI that are essentially being tested for things like empathy, emotion, all this kind of stuff, to essentially see, hey, if these AI were interacting with people, how well would they do it? Would they have empathy for humans, or would they just say, fuck them? Now again, a little bit of bullshit, but the idea has been done before. For those who haven't played a game called the Talos Principle, and if you like puzzle games along with philosophy, deep philosophy stuff, I might suggest playing it. But it's similar kind of thing there.
Huh. Well, I mean, I guess we're gonna have to figure that out because, from what I'm reading here, fourth Matrix movie is begun filming in 2020 and is planned to release in 2021.
Yeah, it's gonna release on the same day
that,
as.
and then on top of what's the new John Wick movie too.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's released on the
Oh,
same
yeah.
day as John Wick 4. Whoa, deja vu.
Keanu.
Yeah,
Double
he's
Keanu,
working
double
on his
fun.
retirement fund.
Yeah,
Right.
his 10th retirement fund.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. What else in the, I guess, movie
Well,
news
before
is,
we
I
go
guess,
into
just
movies, one last thing on gaming, and
okay.
we have some news about EA. Bethesda. Essentially, everyone's losing money right now.
Of course.
So I just wanted to put these little like article bits here that I found for people to see. They're very informative, and yeah, and the console games are really going to be suffering from this. Like console hardware, it's all manufactured in China.
Yeah.
So they're probably like the new Xbox and PlayStation 4, whatever. They're probably gonna. We don't know what's happening with them yet, actually. So we've yet to hear from Microsoft and Sony as to what's going on with that, but all the big names here are losing money. So
Done.
also apparently on YouTube you cannot say coronavirus, or I don't know about COVID-19, but you can't say it. Like I've seen videos get taken down, streams get pulled down, so that's why people have come up with such bizarre names. That's why I call it the Weng Chang Bio-Threat as a joke, but
Which is just ridiculous.
yeah, because YouTube's freedom of speech. It's
Can you
they allow
call
free
it by
speech,
a
but
scientific name, COVID-19?
I don't know, maybe, but I don't know. I just know that YouTube's freedom of speech is some words are more free than others,
Well,
like communism.
Well, and it's like if that was applied equally across the board, that'd be one thing. But we've seen before, it clearly is not. They're clearly.
It's clearly just YouTube and their
Yeah.
weird ass algorithm. Okay, so let's move on to movie stuff because we're talking about Matrix and John Wick.
I have been out
Here.
of the movie loop for like
So,
6 months, so I have no
Same,
idea.
but this was just some news I heard recently. So, the actor who plays Hellboy in the more recent one, David Harbour,
Yeah.
recently came out and blamed and attacked fans for his Hellboy movie failing, saying that, blaming specifically Ron Perlman and Guillermo del Toro Hellboy fans, that they're the reason for his film not doing well.
Yeah, it's like, no, that just means you made a bad movie.
And I don't know about you guys, but I haven't seen the film. I've seen clips, bits here and there.
Yeah,
it looks
looked
awful.
In terms of just costume design, it looked fucking terrible.
Yeah,
I
but
remember
see,
when they first made the poster, like one of the first posters for it. I'm trying to see. It was revealed at New York Comic Con 2018, I believe. And I remember seeing it. I think this was the poster here, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't any like red flags, like, oh, this is gonna be horrible. Here, this was it. Actually, here, this is.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah,
it.
I mean, when I
It's
saw
really
it, I
tiny
was
here,
like,
but
hey, I'll try to
this
keep
this
it
was
up
the
in mind,
poster with better resolution. But it was a good poster. The makeup there didn't look bad. But then this is the movie. This is what it looked like in the film compared to the older films, and just this doesn't look as bad. Like, also from what I've seen, from clip to clip in the film, his makeup is inconsistent.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I went and watched the movie, and
Sorry.
it wasn't great. I will say though, well, I don't know if I should give spoilers, but
It's been a year.
the big demons at the very end of the movie, they were actually terrifying. I think they were the best characterization of demons that I've seen in quite a while.
That's good.
Yeah,
I
so
think that was the only thing in the movie that really got a hold of me. Is like, wow, that was really well done. The rest of it was just kind of like, meh.
Yeah, because I remember seeing the original one at a really young age, and it's like, and I don't know if you guys seen the first one with do you guys remember the gas mask guy?
Oh yeah, that guy.
Cronin. He's like, when you see him essentially nude on that slab, like, that's not exactly a sight a little kid needs to see. But I mean, that's really one of the reasons that film is rated R. Like, if you think about it, aside from that and maybe like two other scenes that involve a lot of blood, that film isn't really like, it's not exactly like a hard R film. It's just rated R because it's got some scenes that shouldn't be shown to children, and for good reason. But this one's kind of like going as that hard R because it's popular, because of Deadpool, because of all the like CG blood everywhere, and monsters and gore and cursing and all that.
Well, kids like this, and it's like.
Yeah.
We didn't write the story and then receive the rating. We wrote the story to receive a rating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas
and I mean, that's just poor movie writing, I guess. And not even that, just to touch on what he said and how that connects. Firstly, I don't even think that a select amount of fans have that much influence over moviegoers in general that they're just gonna, crash the film. And secondly, even if they did, to say that a fan of a previous movie, like, so say you're a massive fan of the previous Hellboy, why would you feel bad for going and saying this other Hellboy movie is total dog to other people, right? Like, it's total garbage to other people. Why would you feel bad, and why would that be something that he'd be upset about?
I've had people who never really knew of Hellboy, never seen the prior films, tell me this film was bad. And I love the first two. Like, I love the first one. I've rewatched it tons of times. And that's another thing. A good film has really good rewatchability value. Replayability value.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like, it's got a good story. He's got a compelling motive. You feel for him because he wants to be accepted in this world that he, due to how he looks, just can't. And you can identify with that however you do, but whereas I don't even know what the story. It's like he's King Arthur. He's related to King Arthur and has to pick up Excalibur and kill Mila Jovovich from the Resident Evil films. And
I mean, it wasn't good. It wasn't great. There was nothing special about it. That's pretty much all you can say. It was a movie, and there were people in it.
Remake a movie. Do a decent job.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, even if it was conceivable that the fans had like somehow gone out and just trashed this movie and destroyed it, right, into these people's minds, what is wrong with that? You're trying to remake something that they enjoy. Why would they not be allowed to say it's bad or help
for
people?
Years, myself included, for years, everyone wanted a Hellboy 3, like a Guillermo del Toro, Ron Perlman Hellboy 3. And you can say, but everyone I know that was a fan of or is a fan of the first two Hellboy films wanted to give this movie a chance. Like, they went to see it. They wanted to see this movie. I couldn't see it not because I didn't want to, just because I didn't have the time. But other people went to see it because they wanted to see it. They were hoping it was good. There were a lot of people saying it was, like, before the film released, that it was more true to the comic book. So that got some people like, oh, maybe I'll go see it because I was a fan of the book. Like, I personally never really read many Hellboy comics. I've only really known from the movies. But, I mean, like, I was willing to give this film a chance. It looked decent from what I've seen. And then the more trailers came out and the more of the film they showed, because, trailers nowadays, just like the last trailer always ends up spoiling the end of the film. It just doesn't look good. And
I got no one to blame except themselves.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to go and be like, well, they sabotaged my effort because they did a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, that just means you did bad. That's not on them. That's on you.
Well, I feel like we're hearing more and more with these remakes, like Star Wars, for example.
It's everything.
Like, exactly, Hellboy. It's always, oh, the reason you didn't like this new film is because you liked the old ones and it's nostalgia, or it's
like
you were
like,
fan
like
of the
Star
old
Wars.
ones so much that you didn't like.
If you didn't like the new, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, it's just like it's a cop-out, because why would a fan of those films not be excited for new content?
It's
a bloody
cop-out.
Just saying, you're saying, oh, it's because it's nostalgic. No, it's because you made a bad movie.
Yeah,
exactly. And it looks bad for the franchise, and it's affecting something that people enjoy. So why would they not speak out?
Excuse me. But yeah, it's like, Star Wars, they said you were a sexist or racist or whatever, and phobes and whatnot for not liking that film. Same thing goes for Captain Marvel. It's not even just with the remakes. Captain Marvel isn't a remake. I mean, it's a I mean, if I'm being completely blunt, it's a gender swapped version of the original Captain Marvel, but
Yeah.
which is a topic for another day. But it's this is a common trend that shouldn't be. Like, you have all these film directors, actors, writers, what have you. It's not even for films too. It's for comic books, which we'll get into later. But you know, like, they're coming out and saying you didn't like our product because it's your fault, because you're a sexist or you're a misogynist. Like Terminator Dark Fate. With Terminator Dark Fate, the Tim Miller, right, the guy who directed the first Deadpool movie, he came out in like April, months before Terminator Dark Fate came out. He came out and said that, and this was not, there wasn't even a trailer yet. There was just a like, maybe there was a trailer, but there was just that Photoshop reveal poster.
Yeah.
And people were complaining because it didn't look like a good poster. Nothing against the people in it. It just, the poster itself wasn't very intriguing. And he's like, oh, if you don't like, something along the lines of, you know, if you like it, it'll play like gangster rap or something. I don't know. And then if you don't like it, it's because you're a closet misogynist, to quote him.
Well,
the film isn't even out yet, and you're insulting your audience. What is wrong with you?
Well, I love this idea too of, you are, you know, XYZ. You are not allowed to have your own likes or dislikes. We will tell you what you should like or dislike. If you disagree with us, then again, you are XYZ, ABC, whatever the fuck. And it's like, well, wait a minute. I'm an individual. I'm allowed to have my own individual likes and dislikes. You can't preach to me and say, well, you know, that doesn't matter. You're part of X category. You can only like X, Y, or Z. Otherwise, you're blah, 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 whatever bad stuff. And it's like, well, wait a minute. No, that's not how this fucking works.
And it's one of two things. It's either, which they and I wouldn't be surprised if people, you know, higher ups making some of these movies were just so deluded that it's inconceivable that somebody would dislike their product. It's either that, or it's, oh, you disliked my product, I don't want to, you know, get the bad publicity for this reason. Yeah, it's been removed from, you can't just dislike a product. If you dislike a product, you dislike the people who are acting in it for some reason.
Yeah,
you dislike,
like, well, wait a minute,
you
that's
dislike.
not how this works.
Yeah, exactly. It's read down this list, find something that people will marshal behind and say you dislike it because of that, not because it's the product, right?
Which is bizarre, because I was gonna say, like, I actually like David Harbour from what I've seen of him. Like, yeah, the Hellboy movie he was in isn't great, but he looks good in the Black Widow trailers that I've seen. You know, he doesn't, like, I have nothing against him, and now he's coming out and saying, oh, you know, if you liked the Guillermo del Toro films, then it's your fault my movie didn't do well. Like, no, it's your fault your movie didn't do well because the movie wasn't good. It may not have anything to do with you. It's the writers or the editors or the director, and you're just a guy who says other people's lines.
People oftentimes say the Star Wars prequels were bad, and it's like, you know, and it's like, well, why do people think we're bad? Well, when you read some of these lines, like, you know, I hate sand, it's coarse and it's rough and it gets everywhere, and you're just like, what? Or like, one of my favorite ones where it showed in the Clone Wars one, I believe, Anakin and Padme are sitting down. There's like some kind of a fancy dinner between the two of them, and Anakin was like, you know, you're just like I remember in my dreams, and it shows like Padme kind of like smiles and looks off to the side, and there's all the memes of like aggressively pushes panic button, and it's just like, this
the dialogue in that film is very, very. But
yeah, but it's like no one's like, well, if you didn't like it, it's because you must hate Padme and hate women. No, the lines were bad. Sorry, Lucas.
Exactly.
You can't really like dialogue.
I said this a lot in the past. I'll say it again. Who is probably one of the most competent and badass characters in the first Star Wars film? Princess Leia.
Yeah,
She's like the most competent one there. So
like when they try to check in with the stormtroopers, and Han's like, oh, we're fine here. How are you? And they're just like, what?
Like, remember, like, yeah, they broke in. They didn't have an escape plan. She's just like, oh, like on her feet, like, yeah, okay, like, you know, off the top of her head. Okay, let's go shoot down the garbage. Like, she had the plan to escape after they freed her.
Yeah.
It's, you know. Like, that's nothing against like, oh, men are bad or whatever. No, it's just saying like this whole idea that they have that, you know, like women were, you know, like in these I've heard the phrase like legacy characters in legacy films, like in these older films that we like and grew up on, that, you know, women are you know, bad and whatever, and men are the great whatever ones. Now we have to reverse it. No, everyone was equal. We're past that point. Martin Luther King was over 50 years now.
Well,
And obviously that doesn't do women, but like my point is, like this whole racism, sexism, this that, like you're bringing it back for no reason.
Well, and that's the interesting thing is that a lot of times it seems like it's more put out there, you know, called out or invented rather, to cover up that, hey, this is a bad product, hey, this wasn't done well, and people, you know, these creators, developers, artists, whatever, can't accept that their product could possibly be bad, could
Well,
possibly be anything other than wonderful. And it's just
yeah,
like,
and exactly. And I kind of almost think it's essentially a PR tactic because
it is.
what's gonna get more views, right? Oh, movie does horrible, critics don't like it, or oh, people bash or actor because they are this, or you know, movie is
Exactly.
bashed because they had this in it. It's gonna get more clicks. It's gonna get more views. It's
Yup.
gonna be the talk instead of, oh, this product is bad.
Although what I've never understood with that too is it's like, and I mean maybe it's just because we've been seeing it and we're kind of at that level we can experience it, but it's really interesting to see that time after time when they try to do these things and we're just like, hey, no, this is terrible, stop doing this, like, you know, Ghostbusters and all that kind of stuff with the remake there, and it's like, hey, look, just make a good movie. That's
Yeah,
all we're asking. Like, you know, if you want to have a character that's pansexual or gay or whatever, that's perfectly fine. Just don't make that the sole define. Like, if you bring up this character and the only thing, the most important thing you can say about him is, oh, they're here, this is their sexuality, this is their skin color, whatever. You have written a horrible color and or a horrible character, and at that point, you yourself are racist, sexist, whatever it is you're accusing everyone else of, because you could not fathom a character who encompasses this whatever, this attribute, without that being their sole defining characteristic. So I mean, for
yeah,
example, you know, if you have a character that, you know, they're going through their let's say they're an investigative type, they're a detective or something like that, and they're helping the main character go and do stuff, and it goes in and they, you know, it shows the main character that's like, oh, I found out this info, I need to tell the detective here and see how this all plays into it. They call up the detective and it shows the detective like in bed next to their spouse who's the same gender of them, and they're like, what, it's 3 a.m, hey, I just found this out, I need you to come over here right now. And they're like, oh, fine, you know, and then the person in the bed's like, hey, what is it, babe? And they're like, oh, some stupid idiot, gotta go help, you know, go back to
yeah.
bed. Like, there you go. Because you're showing, okay, fine, they're gay, but that's not the only attribute. And the biggest thing is that they're helping the main, they're this smart person, presumably, that's helping the main character figure out whatever's going on.
That's actually
Yeah,
exactly how you do it. You don't
You're
write someone like, oh, we need a character. Okay, like what's this character? They're gay. That's it. That's their character.
Yeah, and
It's like
that can't be a character. That's not a character. That's an
essentially,
attribute.
if I had to put it into words, it's don't make a gay character, make a character gay. Like you don't start out with the fact that
May I just add
it's a gay
something to
character.
that?
That's not your pitch. The pitch is it's a character. Oh, you know what? I think this character seems like
Can I just
whatever,
add something
right?
to that? You also should not turn characters who were not gay to be gay.
Yeah.
And I'm
No,
talking,
exactly.
the best example of this is Iceman from the X-Men. In the comics, they made him gay, like 10 or maybe years ago. I don't remember when, but like he wasn't gay for how long has he existed? Since the original X-Men comics?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
And it's
come
like,
on,
why?
you
Just
can
why?
make new characters. You have existing characters.
Yeah, and exactly like, and even then saying, oh, make new characters. I don't think they should make characters. To me, it's like, oh, I'm not gonna make a character just because they're black, or just because they're white, or just because they're this, or I'm going to make, you know, the character and then build on it, right?
Yeah.
Right. So this is getting into a territory we'll get in a second.
Yeah,
I just want to cover I just want to cover something real quick on movie news. We had the actor who plays the Flash in the Justice League movie, Ezra Miller. Well, do this.
Did you want to fight? Is that what you know? Whoa, bro. You want to fight? You want to learn it? Did you want to fight? Is that what you know?
Just
So,
Whoa, bro. You want to fight?
to give a bit of context, because I did read about this, and I'm not sure how truthful this is, but there was a statement from a friend of the woman who was choked out, right?
yeah.
So apparently, this is what was said. It was something like, "Oh, she said something joking. I could beat you up, right? Like, or I could
heard
beat
that.
you."
Yeah.
And so apparently he like they were joking around, or it was I don't know if she said like, "Oh, I could beat you up," but it was more so like, "Oh, I think I could take you on," like that kind of joke.
But they took it as
And then he goes, "Oh, you want to fight me?" And then I guess he starts joking
Well,
her.
as
So
I
I'm
put
not-
in my notes
Looked
here,
like he was
it's
actually
he
joking her.
looked like he was drunk or high or both. It's
Yeah, so
Like-
so reading here it says it's claimed that Miller said he got into a lot of fights and was bragging about and showing off his battle scars, which saw a female fan joke around about wanting to fight him. So essentially what it's saying is, yeah, he was going, "Oh, like, look, I got all these scars from fighting," and she goes, "Oh, I think I could take you on." Then he goes, "Oh, you want to fight?" and starts,
And if he's drunk, then yeah, that's obviously like you don't do that when someone's drunk.
Remember, kids, here's your daily reminder not to do mind-altering substances.
Picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines. Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue. Airplane reference though. I have another article from this, but I think it was just like the same site, but like a few days earlier. I put it up.
A note to self: don't go to a con while you're drunk.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
I
Also,
think essentially
I heard someone make a joke like, what were they doing? Why weren't they quarantined? Why weren't they isolated themselves?
yeah.
Supposedly it was in like off in Iceland or something, from what I heard. But so maybe things aren't as bad there.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but he definitely reacted in a not proper way.
No, he did not. So let's just unless anyone has anything more to say on the topic, let's just dive right into the comic. Well, before we get into comic books, I just want to say how COVID-19 essentially just canceled everything, like movie productions, like Bond 25 and stuff. Which I wanted to say, Bond 25, as bad as it's been looking, because remember they had that whole thing with the female 007, and now she's supposedly not 007. But it's like
she
a movie
is, but
where
she's not the main actor.
yeah, but it's like James Bond's still going to be there, but now he's being treated as like kind of like how Picard was in his TV show. For those of you who have seen it or
So
heard
more
about
just
it,
like a old.
I don't want to talk about that show.
okay, agreed. But it's essentially like James Bond's. Let's just demasculate him. And
I mean, it
prop
looks
up
like
the woman.
he's old, and they're trying to replace him. That's pretty much it.
Which
Well,
they
no,
did.
I-
Which they did twice already with two different actors. They did it with Sean Connery in Never Say Never
Well,
Again.
they're trying to retire the character themselves, which I mean, I can at least in this one. Instance.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you want a female James Bond, like you can do it. Just don't make Bond female or replace him. You
Yeah,
have a new
exactly.
franchise. Like, I don't know if you guys saw Atomic Blonde.
Yeah,
But-
I do remember that.
It's I saw it. It wasn't bad. It was a good film. Like that's how you do it. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to make something exactly like that. Maybe you can make like something similar and more in line with say like original Bond films. Just it stars a woman and it's a completely different thing. Like she's not.
Yeah.
It's not like she's Jane Bond or some bull whatever. It's just some new character, new franchise, IP, whatever. It stars a woman
they're
agent.
kinda
You
doing
can do
aren't
that. It's not impossible, but it's like no, let's just take well-known IPs and remake them or do female reboots. Because look how well Ghostbusters did.
Well, I was gonna say even the most recent Men in Black International. Look how well that
Yeah, I
did.
heard that
Oh
did
my
not
god,
do
yeah, that
well.
was pretty much the same thing. It's like because I haven't seen it, but it's like she's
I
the
heard
bestest
the
ever,
bigger
so stunning and
reason
brave, you know. Like
I heard the bigger reason why the Men in Black one didn't go well is because in all the other Men in Black movies, there's some overarching threat that they're working against that's going to destroy the world,
Yeah.
destroy the Earth, destroy the universe. You've got some underlying threat that's going on here. And in International, they apparently did not really have this. It was much more of a vague, unknown threat that was going for him, and so people were kind of like, "What's the point of this? What's
Okay,
going on
so
here?"
with international, I think what they were doing was just trying to play with the star power of the main two characters. That's pretty much it.
Yes,
that makes a lot of
yes,
sense.
which
Hemsworth
does not go
and
well.
I forget the name of the female actor.
Yeah, she was from
She
Thor
was
Ragnarok, right?
she had a she's on
Um,
Ragnarok. She
something
was supposed to
Thompson.
be in one of the other films, and they cut her because she couldn't do a scheduling thing in Magic or whatever. So they added her to some of the other films. So I mean,
Hmm.
she's a good actor. I enjoyed her
Yeah,
in Ragnarok and the
yeah,
other
that's
Marvel movies, but
she's
that's pretty much
Valkyrie
what
in
it was. It was
Ragnarok.
just
I'm
a star
blanking on
play.
her name as well. It's something Thompson.
Tessa
Tessa
Thompson.
Thompson. Tessa Thompson. Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. And obviously you had Chris Hemsworth as Thor and all that. But
Yeah.
so yeah, on the whole COVID-19 destroying a bunch of things in production. Everything's being pushed back, and we don't know what's gonna happen. As we said with the whole gaming hardware and stuff. For example, like hard copies of games, we don't know what's gonna happen with that. That could, for some games, it depends who does what and where do they do it. Like do they make their stuff here? Do they make their stuff overseas?
Well, I
But
mean, aren't hard copies for games essentially just a code in a
nowadays,
thing you buy now?
no, they still have discs for
Depends
some
on the game.
games,
For many,
but
yes, but it
but it's
depends.
essentially because of DRMs today. It's like you put in the game and it's only half the game on the disc. You have to download the rest, and it takes like 3 hours,
Yeah.
which is freaking annoying as hell. Yeah. So
But the era of hard copies is pretty much over. Now it's
it's
kind of
yeah.
definitely going the way of the dinosaurs. Yeah, and it
Which
sucks.
it really does suck because it's there's something to be said about just being able to buy a game and going to play it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
And there's
like,
also something to be said about being able to sell a game to somebody else, right?
well, here's the thing. Like, I have two reasons about this. One is my internet, my entire region internet, like the entire borough's internet, I think, or like a few blocks of in New York, the internet went down in June, sometime, and we're just like, okay, no internet, nothing. So I wasn't able to play a lot of games on my Xbox One because they require internet to play, which is freaking annoying. Like, yeah,
Well,
some of
that's not
them
gonna
some of them
be-
have offline modes, but it's like not really the same because then when you log in later, like some of the progress you made doesn't count because it wasn't
Yeah.
connected to the internet. So I just like, screw it. I'm just gonna go onto my Xbox 360 and just plug in, like, say, an Assassin's Creed disc and just start playing that for like 12 hours straight or something, and I can do that. And back when the Xbox 360 first came out, my friends and I, we all had one, and we, like, if one of us didn't have a game, but we had spare controllers, we'd be, okay, let me just hop over, let me just get the game, and I'll come over to your place or something, and we just play. That's how we'd play games at each other's house, because we didn't all have
mean,
the
the
same
reason
game.
that-
Sometimes we just bring the games over to each other's places.
Yeah, the reason that hard copies are going the way of the ghost is because developers have realized that they can cut out the third-party market and
Yeah,
require
exactly.
everyone to purchase their own copy. And because software is now they're going the route of games and software as a service instead of you owning your copy.
Yeah, it's a license. You own a license to the game, not the game.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's just the direction things are going, and it's not going to go back.
That's exactly what it is. Well said. You don't own the game. You own a license to play it, and it's awful because then it's like, well, then why am I paying? Like, you're paying to own it, and you're essentially renting it. It's like a lease for a car.
Well,
Yeah.
I,
You're
I
leasing the game.
have I have heard and with some, I think I heard there was something going to maybe the Supreme Court. I don't know if I could be wrong. I might just wanted to go to the Supreme Court there, but there was something, legal wise, that the courts were ruling that no, when you buy a game, you are buying, obviously you don't own the whole game, meaning that you don't own all digital rights to the game, but you own
Yeah.
one instance of that game to do with as you wish. And so therefore, if you want to sell that or anything like that, that is up to you as a consumer. That they
See, and
cannot
I think
code explicitly prevent.
that's the correct way to go about it.
Yeah.
110%.
Well,
Yeah,
with
I
Doom
agree.
Eternal, Bethesda kind of mucked up the DRM for it, so it was pirated a lot within release day. It was incredible how fast that thing was pirated.
Still, I think Spore owns the record for most pirated.
Oh, I'm not saying it was most. It's just like it's such
Yeah.
a major game release, and all of a sudden it's being pirated instantly because they screwed up the DRM.
Which is just kind of sad. I mean, obviously people are gonna do it, but like obviously, like I said, the fact that you could get something for free like that, there's gonna be people who do it. But it just kind of sucks, especially for games like Doom that come out and it's a single player game, because if they feel like they can't make money off of it, then they're not going to keep doing it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have a whole bunch of
Yeah.
people pirating it and not buying the game, then it kind of squashes out what any hopes it had of
Yeah, and
continuing.
it's
Which I don't think they're going to stop Doom or anything, like obviously, right?
no. I hope Doom is a game I want to see continued because it's such a good game, but it's one of those games that does it right. You know, it's not full of microtransactions or
It's one of the
DLC.
few games that Bethesda has released lately that's actually
It's
good.
I think the only game
Yeah.
Bethesda has released lately that does something right.
Which
But
they had a few last chances left, and I'd say Doom and Elder Scrolls were them, so they came through here.
they're probably gonna screw up Elder Scrolls.
We'll see how bad they fuck up Elder Scrolls. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, look
yeah.
what they did to Fallout.
I am anticipating it's going to be bad. Like, people are like, oh, and I'm like, because I mean, just seeing what they did with Fallout, but first with, and for me, the first beginning of the end was Fallout 4, just in comparison to Fallout 3 and then New Vegas, because New Vegas showed, hey, here's how you can do all this stuff, factions, weapon mods, player interaction with the world, how the world reacts to that. Here's how you can do all that right, and it just seems like they took that and completely fucking trashed it.
Yeah.
I mean, just you have factions in Fallout 4, and they don't really interact with each other except to say, well, if you're with us, you got to kill everyone else, and we'll ignore a couple. And it's like,
Yeah.
what? There's no alliances, there's no betrayals, there's nothing deeper other than they exist, kill them. Like,
Yeah, they
what?
don't.
This is not the way to do it.
Yeah, they don't interact with each other, and like, yeah, exactly like you said, you make the choice and then that's it. You make that one choice. And
Yeah, there's no way to, like, it's not even like you can do, like, even the Outer Worlds does this, where you have the iconoclasts and the MSI. It's like you can either destroy one, destroy the other, destroy both, or you can have them make a truce. It's in Fallout 4. It's just no, destroy either one, like whichever one you're decided with. They tell you which one to destroy.
take a pick and choose.
But yeah, so let's dive into comics, because we kind of discussed the whole back to the whole thing with COVID. It's destroying everything. Now the comic book industry has been dying for a while, and I do mean a long time now. The comic book industry is been kind of on its last legs for a while, and COVID-19 is kind of accelerated it. It's now like, oh, it's on its deathbed. Now let's make it die at a geometric rate compared to what it was before. It's like,
Yeah.
and we're witnessing it with stuff like the New Warriors, which I don't know if you guys seen this yet, the actual trailer.
So when I seen this, their names play out like an actual joke. Like, it was something that I was actually thought I was reading a joke.
Yeah.
Like I just muted it, but I have subtitles on. Just like I jokingly call this guy Dog Kibble. Like, he's just such a sad man. I mean, he's intimidated by comic book characters.
Are they like releasing new
They were-
characters or?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like he was intimidated by Night Thrasher, which is this character kicking this
The comic
guy.
characters.
He
Felt
thought they were
too
too cool for them. For him, they were too cool for him, and he was intimidated by this guy because he had a blade coming out of his wrist.
So doesn't that kind of that's like
And here, look,
the
and
fetus
he
towards the
complains
whole
how this
idea
guy
of
was really
comic.
buff. So these are the new warriors of the 90s. You have, I don't remember his name. You got Nova, Night Thrasher, Namorita, Firestar, and Speedball. And let's just skip ahead to the new warriors.
So you got what? It's Snowflake.
Snowflake, Safe Space, which they're not a couple, they're twins.
Okay.
Screen Time, who, we have to hear his description of it because it makes me laugh every time.
I remember that one.
This is hilarious.
Mysterious gift that she's been given. Screen
Oh, yeah.
time is a internet kid taken to its sort of logical conclusion. As a youth, he was exposed to his grandfather's experimental internet gas, and that has patched him permanently.
You heard that right.
Gets me every time.
No, that just hurt my head.
Yes.
What the hell is internet gas?
We'll never know.
It's also
You know what?
So it's like he's
I mean,
like
if
it says
you
he's
were to go
permanently
like,
into the
radiation-
World Wide Web.
he's
Sure.
permanently connected to the internet. That sounds like hell.
No, it depends
So he's
what
pretty
sites
much
you browse.
a kid with a smartphone in his pocket.
Yeah, pretty much. But internet gas, really?
I know, it's so bad. And we skipped over Trailblazer. Where we have
Oh, the first character that we're introduced to is Trailblazer. She's a group home and foster kid who is volunteering at a senior center when this mysterious threat shows up and Night Thrasher runs to the rescue. And because she helps him, she ends up in the crosshairs of this new outlawed law. And she
I love how they have to describe her in such
Yeah,
a-
also I just want to say the concept art and the cover art have her as two different ethnicities, and the fact that outlaw law? What did he say? The new outlawed law. And I looked this up earlier. So apparently there's a new law in Marvel Comics where if you can't be a vigilante under the age of 21. Okay, they clearly don't know what the meaning of vigilante is.
Yeah, really.
law, and she inherited from her grandfather
Yeah, I mean,
Also, they both inherited things from their grandfathers. Like, what is...
a magic backpack of
It's a
divine-
magic backpack, yeah.
That's her superpower.
Her superpower is she's out of shape Dora the Explorer.
So essentially, the superpowers here is one of the guys got gassed by his grandpa, and then the other guy. Or
Why do you say it like that? I'm imagining some grandpa
stories.
like hanging out with his kid. He gets up, accidentally farts, and the kid whiffs it in, and now he has superpowers.
He was in his basement playing with his internet gas, and he let it
Oh
out.
my god, yeah.
So with screen time, we liked the idea that he has infinite screen time. Snowflake and Safe Space are the twins,
I
and
can't
their
believe
names
they
are very
can even say
similar
these names
to
in
screen
the right
time.
way.
It's this idea
Right,
that
and
these
that's-
are terms
That's
that
what
get
really
thrown
got
around
me
on
is
the
because
internet
like
that they don't
screen
see
time.
as-
Okay, that's a reasonable name, I'd say, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Screen time is probably the least...
Or Snowflake
time
and
is
Safe
the wor-
Space
is
are
the-
quite
the best of the
literally
names.
the words that people use when they're disregarding this kind of idea.
Yeah.
Also the fact that these are derogatory terms that haven't really been used in a good few years.
I'm not-
They're
They're kind of out of date.
using-
Like, it's
just-
not
just
2016
using
anymore.
a derogatory term for a character, like in general. I mean,
As,
I mean, obviously it's not to the same level, but like, imagine if you had some black guy who's kicking crime and his name was N-word. Like, I mean, again, not saying it's anywhere near that same level, but
No.
even still, it's just kind of like,
No,
But I
I know.
mean,
It's like it'd be like You know, oh, I am Kike Man. Like,
Yeah. It's
All right,
like-
so these characters
A
make me think
derogatory to
of what
take.
Disney did with Star Wars, and is that they're pitching it towards pre-adolescent children.
yeah,
This isn't
it's,
for your teenagers or young adults. These are for
they're
like
trying.
little
The
kids
problem
that
is they're
don't know
trying to get. They're trying to market to an audience that doesn't buy the product.
Yeah.
Like,
well, exactly.
Let's be
Exactly.
honest.
It's like,
Yeah.
Most
if you're
people that
selling
buy
something-
comics are, you know, middle-aged men at this point. You know, you have some teenagers that. And here's the thing: comics are a medium that people are still very much interested in, myself included. We just don't want your crap comics. We want good comics. That's why indie comics are doing so well, and manga is doing so well, from what I hear, and stuff like that. Like, I read a good book recently called Neon Future. It's like a cyberpunk graphic novel, but it's you know.
So I was gonna say. So he talks about at the start of the video. He goes, "Oh, I don't like them because they're too cool. I was intimidated by them." So he wants to essentially bring the superheroes down. So they're not superheroes anymore. They're heroes.
They're not.
right?
Yeah, they're not.
They're
super-
not. Yeah, and I mean you could say the same about certain superheroes, right? But it's like they don't have superpowers or anything like that. But it's not.
Right.
They're still
Like
I
here's-
feel like the entire idea of a superhero is somebody who is perfect, right? Like they're like obviously you have anti-heroes, but
not
the
even
entire
perfect. It's something
base
you
idea
strive
of a
for.
superhero is some perfect justice, right?
He's supposed to be that
at its
ideal.
core, but
He's supposed to be that ideal being who stands for virtue and something that you're supposed to strive for. Something like, we can be this. You know, something you look
Yeah.
up to, not something that you look down at and go, I'm better than you right now. You know, like, because like I made this joke with someone the other day, like, you know, we can take the New Warriors, just you and I, without even like any weapons. We're in better shape than they are, and none of them have any real powers that they can harm us with.
yeah.
You know, let's just take, like, you held a baseball bat, I'll take, like, you know, like some boxing gloves or something. We can go beat them up. You know, it's like, that's the thing. Like, I shouldn't be able to say that about us, like, a group of superheroes. A group of superheroes, not just one.
There's supposed to be these bigger than life characters that you strive to become. That, like, obviously, you know, you're never going to be Superman. You're never going to be this. But the entire idea is, wouldn't it be nice, right? Like, it's
yeah.
it's not like
that, but also too, it's not even necessarily wouldn't it be nice to be, but also a ideal to strive for. Because like with
exactly.
Superman, to me, Superman at his best is when he's not showing off being super, he's showing off being a man, being in terms of not because Superman's whole shtick is that he's pretty much as powerful, generally speaking, as the writers want him to be. Meaning that he, you know, there's almost never going to be a time where he's getting punched around, unless it's like Dark Side or something, you know, unless it's
or
some
if it's for the
one-up
story.
kind of thing. Yeah, so it's like the most interesting stories showing Superman are the ones where it's showing his, you know, that hey, punching things in the face isn't always the solution. That you can sometimes go and work things out in better ways than that.
Yeah.
And showing that more caring, introspective side from a character who can really afford to be. Because like, well, hey, if everything fails, everything goes south, sure, I can just punch him in the face and that's the end of it. But we don't need to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess
that's man at his best.
I guess there is something. I mean, when I said that they're these unobtainable people, I guess I mean more so they're unobtainable with their powers, but there's the idea is you strive to be their ideals, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's not like, oh, you know, I guess with these characters, like what is it that you're striving to be like them?
Well, that's why you probably can't see this, but on the stream I have
characters that are quote unquote not intimidating. They're not like, well, no, I guess that's not something that you would want to strive to be intimidating, right? But like what he's saying is they're not like, they're not supposed to be these cool held up people. I don't know. It just seems weird.
Yeah, like I have on the stream right now an image that I have from my 1996 Marvel Universe book, This is like a book I had as a kid, and I loved it. And the inside cover art was what I have on the stream right now. And these are essentially all the classic Marvel superheroes. You got, classic Nick Fury, Agent and Director Shield, at the time known as Colonel Fury, and which was got MJ over there. You got Cyclops kind of cut off on the screen just because I had to crop the image a bit. And I have Spider-Man. You have all these heroes and some villains as well on this splash page here, but essentially most of the ones you see, like, you look at it and you go, oh, I know that guy, I know that guy, I know, like, you know them not just because they're recognizable, but it's like they're these superheroes that you strive to be for. You identify with them. Like, look, one of my favorite heroes aside from Spider-Man is the Thing, Ben Grimm from Fantastic Four. I look nothing like a giant orange rock monster, but I can identify with him. And that's another thing that they kind of forget. Like, you don't need to look like someone in order to identify with them.
Yeah. Well,
see,
the
you know
is
what?
nowadays almost, so much of things is set with it's all about appearance, not about actual fact, just appearance. Only appearances matter. And it's just like, really? Come on.
And so, I mean, I'm kind of reading about this character Snowflake, right? And so it's like the guy's talking about. So it's Snowflake as a non-binary. That doesn't. So Snowflake has the power to generate individual crystallized snowflake-shaped shurikens. So
Those words
see,
and kind
the
of wear them
idea
as
of the
badges.
character, even the name Snowflake to me, right, wouldn't have been that big of an idea or big of a problem. Sorry, if it's like,
No.
oh, you know what? Yeah, they have these cool powers. They're named Snowflake, but it's not about that. It's about pushing
It's
this,
about
right?
specifically attacking that idea of its terminology. Well, again, it'd be like having a black person whose fighting crime name was N-word, and just like, really? Like, there is no real reason a person would even choose that as their superhero name. It's obviously just done to garner a reaction.
Come on, you all know that he would be going by the N-word.
Okay.
Let's just finish the video here, because what he says, it's just so laughably bad.
Of honor. Safe Space is kind of a big, burly, sort of stereotypical jock. He can create force fields, but he can only trigger them if he's protecting somebody else. Snowflake is...
So
he can only use his. First of all, he looks very much like the jocks that bullied me in school. Pink earrings,
short shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, like, he can only make force fields if they're protecting someone else, which is why I made that joke earlier. Like, well, I can beat him up because if he can't protect himself.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that is an interesting power in my opinion. It's like if I can go and make force fields, but only use them, essentially on someone else if I think it will help them. I mean, that is a interesting power. Just again, with that name, it's very clearly being used to garner a reaction.
Here's a superhero, but we don't want him to be too strong, so let's put a whole bunch of limitations on him that don't make any sense. That's what that's
Look,
pretty much.
Similar concept in terms of, like, not really, but this came to mind. The Multiple Man from the X-Men or X Factor later on. He's able to duplicate himself by if anything strikes him or if he strikes a hard surface, he can make a duplicate of himself. So it's similar along that lines, but he can do it himself. Like, he can just punch a wall and then there'd be two of them.
Yeah, bam.
This guy can't even protect himself.
Yeah.
Like, keep in mind, that's it. It's not like any super strength. He can just duplicate himself.
Well, I mean, also too. Now, I will admit, of course, we don't know entirely too much about the character yet. But like a good character would go and be like, "Hey, I know I have this weakness where I can only use my power to protect another person." Okay.
Yeah.
How then they need to then show the character being cognizant of this weakness and working to go and counter it. So things like, hey, I'm going to stay in the back and kind of stay as support. You guys go and deal directly with the guys up front fighting, so I'm away from the fist flying. That would be one style. But then of course you could have things like, hey, we got ambushed from behind because we didn't have anyone else back here. I got my shit tossed to me, and then my force field went down, and now the guys in the front are getting hurt. Again, being, realizing what kind of weaknesses are there and working toward fighting those. That is what a good character would do. I don't know if we'll see that. That's entirely
And
possible.
see,
But
so
if we don't see that, I'd say, hey, that character's a fucking idiot.
yeah, okay. So as I read these abilities, and I mean, okay, obviously the names are an entirely different different game, but as I read these abilities and these characters, they don't seem like they wouldn't have been. I feel like people wouldn't have been as upset over character. It's not about the characters and the abilities. It's about the way they were marketed, right?
It's not that people are
They're
upset.
marketed
They're just
in a
making
way
fun
that
of
it's not for
how bad it
comics.
is.
It's for social issues. That's not why I read a comic. I don't read a comic so I can be reminded of social issues. I read a comic because
It's called escapism. That's what we covered here. It's not
even then,
this.
I'm fine with the comic touching on social issues, and obviously, if that's a way to touch on social issues, then perfect. But the comic shouldn't be designed specifically for that.
The original Star Trek
the X-Men
series used to do it all the time.
The X-Men was that they were kind of a stand-in. These mutants were kind of a stand-in for racial bigotry, and it was done very, very well.
Yeah, but
I mean, it was take also the original series of Star Trek. You pretty much every other whenever they go to like some alien culture, like some land on some alien planet, like you had the race of half white, half black, and then the half black, half white aliens, and they were like racist against each other, or episodes like that, or in TNG they had the the race of people who don't have genders. But then there are some that believe that they have gender, and they're like hated for it, and like Star Trek has done this thousands of times. Like they cover social issues and real world issues, but in a way where it's not us, it's not the humans, not the Federation that's suffering them. It's some alien culture doing it because in that universe, humanity's so evolved and what have you. It's a utopia, but in this, like again, comic books are supposed to be an escapism. They're supposed to be something you read to take your mind off your real world troubles or what have you, and just let yourself lose yourself in this fictional world.
To go and lecture to the world about how enlightened you are and how bad they are and blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
that's not.
So like to touch back on what you said, like X-Men, for example, plays on the idea of race being an issue, right? And the difference between that and this is they're simply changing stuff, right? Because of it. They didn't change anything in X-Men. Yes, there was still this, they had powers, right? But it wasn't like there were characters that were, oh, you know what? Their power is specifically to do with something that you can very, very much tell that it's race, right? Like it's not like their power is described
to throw your face into it. It was meant to be like, hey, here is a somewhat parallel world where these kinds of problems still exist. Here's what here's kind of how that's going, along with and here's all these other fantastical elements to kind of pull you more into the story and make it more interesting.
Exactly. There's all these amazing characters and all this amazing world and amazing lore, and they're using that, right, to play on this idea. They're not playing on this idea and then creating characters. I think a lot of what I've been talking about is they seem to come up with these ideas first for these social issues before they make the story. They should use the story to convey the social issues instead.
They use the narrative that they have, their agendas, whatever, or they're using the story as an excuse to tell their narrative, their agenda, their propaganda, as opposed to having their story or having not even that shouldn't be the case. Period. Actually, there's no if or what or whatever.
That's it.
And as you said, the difference is with the X-Men, you care about these characters, especially back in more classic comics and older comics from the 60s and 80s, through 60s and 80s, and before you had these more serialized comics and serialized television, right, like Star Trek, old Star Trek, and Orville now, like, what kept you hooked in a show like Star Trek or the Orville or in a comic book when there's no overarching plot? There's nothing that's like,
Yeah, it's like characters.
everything. There's no end story. It's just random adventure after random adventure. It's the characters. You fall in love with the characters and you want to see them go through whatever next adventure is they're going through.
Yep.
So that's how you get the people hooked. It's not, well, we have, and as we were talking about earlier, how like the character is gay. That's his character. No, that's an attribute. What's his character? That's kind of what this is. It's
exactly
like, and we didn't even get into, well, there's no need to get into the goth one, but I don't know if you guys saw this, the like to dislike ratio.
What was that?
Oh.
It's 4,341 likes and 209,000 to 840 dislikes. And some of the comments are pretty funny. Like how they were too cool for me. They did a great job fixing the problem. People, we run out of toilet paper. Marvel, don't worry. There you go.
But yeah, it really does.
We don't want to put labels
like
on
a bad
people.
joke.
This is the goth kid.
Because it's just, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting for sure. But
Oh yeah, I think I saw that. And like, it was actually like, hey, this is pretty cool. These would be interesting characters. It's like if their whole thing isn't just SJWBS.
Oh, right here. So someone redesigned the characters and
yeah,
like, look, I'm not a professional artist. I don't draw for a living, but I am an artist. I do like to draw. And this looks like crap. And I'm not. This is me personally. I'm not a big fan of digital art like this.
yeah.
Like, I'm more a fan of classic art. And here's some of the redesigns. And I mean, again, I'm not. It's not like, oh, this is the best thing ever, but it's definitely better than this.
Yeah. And
and then you have a safe space here.
yeah, I think.
And keep in mind, because they said they wanted to make the outfits more relevant to modern day. These don't look. These just look like crap. They're really forgettable outfits.
Yeah. Okay. So the safe space redesign looks amazing. Like in that silhouette there.
Yeah.
That looks amazingly good. Where.
And this is supposed to be Trailblazer.
Yeah.
The redesign.
Like,
yeah, like, and you have that. And this isn't even the worst thing. Well, here's the thing. This is funny. Like, it's bad, but funny. Marvel did something that I'm not a fan of. Like, I kind of... Like, where this is funny, made me laugh, because it's bad. This made me go like, what the hell is wrong with you? Because this is just gender, race, and or both swapped versions of the X-Men. I mean, here you got female Cyclops, out of here, where's that panel? Also, wait, we have to listen to this because this is the biggest load of balls we'll hear in a while.
There's so many things I could tease about Children of the Atom, but I will say one thing, and that's new characters.
X-Men is supposed to be something.
I don't see any new characters, do you?
Hey, at least they didn't mess up with Gambit, looks like.
Yeah, but now Gambit's a black woman.
Yeah.
Like, they even tried to hide it. It's,
yeah, that's what I mean.
Like, look, the female... First of all, whoever... not to knock on Todd Knock. He actually is a pretty good artist from what I've seen, but I would not know this was a chick. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't...
In the center there, that's like a young dude's body. Like late teens, early 20s body.
Why though? It's literally just choose the opposite of what they were at like in a certain degree. Either choose the opposite race and sex, or choose the opposite sex.
And it's not even that. Like, it's like, look, it's clearly inspired by Cyclops' '90s outfit. You know, you have Nightcrawler, and then you have Asian Nightcrawler, and then you have out of shape Jean Grey.
I think all
Like
of
just
it
the
together,
design.
What was
all of
that?
it together really just points to a really distressing issue nowadays, to where you have a lot of content creators, or what were content creators, who are unwilling to make additional content. It's just, we're going to go, we know X-Men sells. We're going to go and make copies of the X-Men, change just enough things so that it's not copyright infringement, and then say it's a new character. And when people hate it because we're also injecting our BS into it, we go and we just say, oh, you don't like it because XYZ, not because we did a fucking crappy job and can't make new characters.
Yeah.
That's literally it.
This isn't creativity. This is repurposing. They're not creators.
Yeah.
They're repurposers. This is like, I missed what you said earlier about Nightcrawler. What did you say?
I said, yeah, I actually I don't mind the Nightcrawler design looks good.
This
I think.
the actual Nightcrawler or the new.
Like I don't
knockoff?
mind the new one that they have there.
I'm
And
not.
I think
a fan.
they changed. I mean, they changed enough about her. They didn't just like make some blue chick.
I think
right?
it's him.
That to me is more than they did for some other characters there. Like.
Oh wait, was
At
this?
least they
Okay.
kinda-
Listen to this. This one.
Because he not only had to design these superhero identities, but also these civilian identities, and like
The same guy had to design both the superhero and the secret identity. Mind blown. No one's ever had to do that before.
The big
What the
challenge.
hell is wrong with you people? And like, yeah, from what I heard, it's Asian Nightcrawler. So, and in Black Archangel. And look, Mickey Mouse is in the house now. He's the hairdo there.
But yeah,
But
like I said, I think it's just they're taking mediums and they're just forcing them to be a social issue in some or address a social issue in some way, right?
Yeah,
Like,
they're,
it's
they're
not like-
forcing social issues too, where there were previously none.
Yeah, and it's like you can't have.
Wondering, why
okay,
don't
you know
you
what?
like it when I shove this in your face?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, you know what? Great. You have social issues in media, right? And obviously it's a big thing, right? Having movies portrayed on social issues that we're having and stuff like that, right?
Hmm.
But at the same time, there's got to be a certain sense of, yeah, exactly, escapism. I don't read a comic book so that I can be reminded that we live in
That
this.
there's racists out there. It's like,
Yeah, that there's racists, that there's
it's like,
sexist. And
until you get to the point you can mind control the entire human race and force them to behave however you say is good, there will always be conflict. There will always be, racists and people who hate you because you have brown eyes, or you're tall, you're short, whatever thing they have. I mean, look at what they try to do with school uniforms. Like, oh well, one of the many reasons why I've heard school uniforms being widely brought into schools is to go and be like, well, hey, this way, if people are not as rich, they can't afford nicer clothes, everyone's wearing the same
Yeah.
thing. And it's like, sure. However, it very, very clearly showed bullies just went on, and they didn't go and be like, oh, you're not wearing, you're wearing the same clothes as me. Well, I got something to stop being a bully. No, they'll go,
Yeah.
hey, look at your hair. Who did that? Your mom?
Yeah, they're not gonna go,
find something else.
oh damn, he's got the same clothes as me, I guess I can't bug him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's like you're addressing a symptom of it, not the actual problem. Which, and now of course schools have moved on to the no tolerance, which really translates to, we're going to go and ignore there's any problem until it gets to the point where we can't ignore it, punish everyone involved, including the victim, and then we wonder, hey, why the fuck are people shooting up schools? I fucking wonder.
Yeah. Well, and like, so like I said, it's one thing if it's a movie and it's predicated on the idea of, touching on the social issue that is racism or that is sexism, or it's X-Men and it delivers this pressing issue and the social issue and its take on it in a way that is not affecting this. Well, it obviously affects the story in X-Men, but it's not affecting the story, right? It's not like real world stuff isn't affecting the story. Whereas, and it's ridiculous to me because, like I said, it's escapism and it's comic books. It's the most like removed form that you can have, right? It's
Yep.
literally an idea of a world where you have people who are quite literally have all these powers, right? So why is it that you're trying to bring the real world into this? And like I said, it's not an issue if you bring the real world into it, but if that's your main
But you have to
goal is
write, you
to
have to
push
write
this
it
in
in
people's
well.
faces, yeah, right?
Yeah, and it's
Like
like
you're
if you
trying
write
to
it in
push
well,
these issues onto
that's
people's
fine.
faces. Yeah, exactly. You should write it as a
I mean,
comic book, not
you
as
could
a
easily make
way
a
to press
superhero
this issue.
character. You could easily make a superhero character who would say, "Hey, the superhero character. Let's say they're black. Their parents are black, and growing up, their parents were so let's say their parents grew up throughout the like 40s, 50s, 60s, and this person is now in like their let's say 20s, 30s, however the timeline works out." And their parents, growing up, hearing their parents talking about, being segregated and all the horrible stuff that went on and how that affected
Mhm.
them. That's fine. Like if you're writing that as part of their backstory, that's fine. But again, that's an attribute. You can't make a character that is based solely on a singular attribute.
Yeah, it's an
There has
attribute,
to be
not a
more than
core.
that.
Yeah, that's why I like this comment I have on the screen here. But yeah, like it's just awful. And this woman, I actually looked this woman up for
One of them
like,
has
to
a
know who the hell she is, Vita Ayala. And this is the results you get. And I kid you not, Vita Ayala. Here, it's her cat sons and stuff. It's like this doesn't like. And I looked into what she's done. She does not have any comic book experience prior to working at Marvel.
Yeah, she's
Or
obviously
writing
somebody
experience,
who,
period. It's just,
who
they're just
identifies
diversity
with
hires.
the,
They're all diversity hires now. It's
Yeah.
essentially, if you agree with our politics, you get hired. And one of them even said, like, here, I think this is where they say it.
moderator for the mutant subreddit, basically the moderator for the mutant. One of them has a TikTok, one of them has a fitness Insta, one of them is basically the moderator for the
video is
mutant
cutting out a little
subreddit.
bit, but I'm not sure
One
if
of them is a cosplayer, and the other one makes mutant music.
Like, really? Why?
if it was from me. But
What the hell is mutant music? This is stupid.
yeah, it's
It's just like,
I definitely think if we're not going to be able to disconnect comic book reality and real life reality anymore at like some sort of level, right? Because like the disconnect for X-Men is that there's people with superpowers versus they're mutants versus not mutants. It's not like they went, oh, they're it's black people versus white people. It's Nazis versus Jewish people, right? It's not like they took a real world issue and they made it into a comic book reality, right?
Yeah, made an
This is they're
analogy
just
of it,
taking.
and went, bam,
This
there you
is
go.
they're just going, yeah. Oh, there's people who don't like being, whatever, or they don't like this, they don't like that. It's we need more of this. Okay, let's just do it. But yeah.
oh my god, this comic's gold. Stan Lee from the heavens. Don't make me come down there, you punks. Yeah, that's sad. It's like Stan Lee dies, and then it's like, oh, he's gone. We can do whatever we want. Like if they
Let's
weren't
run
off the
into the
chain
ground.
before, now we can go way off the chain. It's like,
Yeah. I mean, well, continuing on, I guess from this with Marvel, yeah, I mean, at least they're doing well with their movies.
Yeah,
I can
that's
say
true.
for one thing,
Uh,
as much as I don't like to see the fact that
for now,
comic books are for now, and like I said, as much as I don't like the fact that comic books are like you said, starting to be there in that coffin.
Yeah, so this is
It's nice to see that these characters and the stuff can be transferred over into something that's actually going to be successful.
Well, the problem is they're
into
adapting
a
modern Marvel comics for the movies now. That was Captain Marvel was the first thing to show that. Thor, Love and Thunder, right? That sounds like such a porn name. It's gonna have female Thor from what I heard, and that's clearly based on like they're adapting modern Marvel, and that's not good because modern Marvel's crap. And if you ask me, it's been crap since like the early 2000s. But yeah, like these cover arts, like first of all, that's the Black Archangel is the laziest one of the laziest costume designs I've seen in a long time.
See, and that's why I said at least for Nightcrawler, right? They didn't just take Nightcrawler and make it into some blue chick. They actually like.
I'm not even talking about in terms
sort
of copying.
Difference.
I'm just saying overall, in general, it's just a lazy copy.
Yeah.
Like this makes sense because it's reminiscent of his older Archangel costumes, you know. Whereas, like, this is just. And I'm not even a fan of this design, but yeah, I do have to agree. It is clear, like it's clear that it's just Nightcrawler copy, but it's not like a direct. Let's just take his costume, make his skin white, and then make him Asian.
Yeah.
But this is set, and then they revealed this a few days later. So I didn't know what this was until I read this article. America Chavez. Never heard of it before. It's another modern Marvel piece of crap, and it just looks bad. And
it just keeps coming, and it just keeps coming.
What?
I was just saying, and it just keeps coming.
And it does just keep coming. It's really awful. Where was it? We had this. There was. I saw some interesting redesigns for her because people started flipping out about her redesigns. Apparently, that's a thing. So, here, people are complaining that she's over-sexualized in this drawing.
I mean,
and how her clothes are painted on.
Have you?
I mean,
and I don't know about you, but like I heard someone make this, someone else comment in term like as an argument against this, and he's right. Biker shorts are pretty tight.
I mean, yeah.
And also, and that's just a realistic argument. Let's talk about the fact that it's a comic book. They've always been drawn like that.
I mean, also too, like, I mean, yes, many superheroes do wear very odd clothing choices. It's like, for example, if Superman went around wearing a freaking thong all the time or something like that, whatever, he's indestructible. But for characters that are not indestructible, that, like, for instance, Starfire, especially back in the 80s, was always wearing very revealing clothes, but it's like, that's fine, she's practically indestructible. Or Raven, Sorceress, again.
Also, the fact that was her alien
like
culture,
a dress
wasn't it?
or a leotard, because she doesn't need armor. But when you have characters like, for instance, Robin, running around in pretty much, it's pretty much going to be a spandex outfit. Hey, that's not going to do you too well. And I do like how with like the modern Batman ones, before it was, Batman.
Yeah, that's what I liked about the
similar
Nolan films. They gave him armor.
Now he's wearing armor because it's like, hey, I'm freaking getting into fist fights all the time. People are going to be hitting me over the head with baseball bats.
Yeah, like, for example, Spider-Man, he's not indestructible, but he has his spider sense, which can help him dodge everything, so...
Exactly, well, and also, too, he is tougher than a normal human. He's not
Yes, but a bullet can still kill him.
Because it's like, I remember, I think it was, I forgot which Marvel movie, which of the new Spider-Man movies it was, but he goes and gets buried under, like, some concrete rubble and all this stuff, and it's like, a normal person would be crushed. And then you can clearly see that he's actually pinned, and he's like, "Help, help!" And he's kind of, because I mean, he's a freaking
because
kid.
The new one is
he just got buried. You're gonna react like a normal kid, and then he's like, "Hey, I need to go put my stuff together. I need to get out of here." And he's able to lift himself out of there and crawl out. And it's like, cool. A normal person that would be sitting there, at best, you'd have several broken bones. At worst, you'd just be squished. But he's tougher than that, so that's fine to not wear armor. But
exactly.
For characters that are indestructible, okay, look, or
like I have Superman on the screen right now.
Wear what you want. Yeah.
And I have Christopher Reeves as Superman on the screen because, let's be honest, he is Superman. But look, that outfit's tight on him.
Yeah,
okay,
I mean,
that's how he looks. That's Superman.
It's skin tight, pretty much. But it's like, again,
that's how Superman's supposed to look.
It doesn't matter at most, the worst thing that'll happen is that if he gets, if enough bullets and knives and shit hit him, at worst, it'll go and ruin his outfit. And he's going to be like, "Whoop, hey, can I borrow, a pair of boxers from someone?" And, that's the worst that's going to happen. He won't be hurt or anything from it. So it's like, comic book characters have long-standing had very odd outfit choices.
Yeah.
I mean, look, as you said earlier, whatchamface, Starfire, and I heard someone complaining about Hawkman the other day.
Well, doesn't he
the
wear
original
armor?
Hawkman outfit,
Like
where
a
he's just
2-3?
shirtless. He's just wearing pants. And,
Okay, yeah.
And it's like, and I'm pretty sure,
look
and
at Aquaman.
I don't know much. Like I most of what I know about the Thanagarians, right? That's his race, are from the cartoons. But they all wear that. Like that's just their race. That's just that's their culture. That's what their outfit.
Okay.
Yeah, they just don't wear a lot.
Yeah, it's like like Aquaman, similar kind of thing. I think with the more recent ones, they've sometimes shown him wearing like some kind of an armor or something like that.
I like the I think the best is Alex Ross Aquaman, because it's like the original look, but he adds like a scale texture. That's an action figure of it.
It looks something akin to, like, I mean, sure, it's pretty tight in, but at the same point, it's like, for one thing, the guy's mostly going to be swimming. You want something that's going to go and be somewhat aerodynamic, and the fact that it has, it looks like fish scales, but it also appears to be armor. It's like that all just ties into, hey, this is what, because he's supposed to be a king, a warrior. Hey, this all kind of ties into, well, what would
that's another thing. They're supposed to be able to move.
What armored look?
I mean, I won't say there's not a certain point where a costume has become overtly sexualized, right? Because like there's a certain point where it's like, oh, the costume is no longer about costume design; it's about sexualizing.
Oh, you mean like those images I just flashed
don't...
over on the on that article before I just exited the tab because I'm like, oh, okay.
But I mean,
those are like fan art designs of like someone dressed as a bunny and it's like completely revealing or whatever.
Well, and see, the thing is it's not like her costume was exactly that sexualized. It was the one or two drawings that looked kind of a little sexualized.
I'm pretty sure those weren't even official. Those were just some fan made that.
And exactly. It's like if I don't know if it's not an issue with the costume, it's an issue with the way they drew the character. I don't think that's I don't know.
True.
Yeah, exactly. It's like issue. Okay, whatever. And also too, not to mention too, especially when you're at the design stage for characters. I mean, if you look at all the different Batman comics out there, or Superman comics, these characters that have been around for decades and decades, there's different ways of drawing them. I mean, sure, sometimes they'll go, there's always going to be a general theme they stick to, but within that, there's a great amount of variance.
Yeah, like every artist has their own personal touch.
70s costumes for Batman versus what we're getting now, and especially looking at like in the movies and stuff, there's a great amount of difference now because the character is kind of evolving as times do. And not to mention, it evolves based on how the artist, how the writer sees it.
Here's a good example. Compare the original, like the more classic comic book Iron Man, right? Iron Man from, say, let's take his 1990s appearance, where he's wearing the big red and the classic armor.
Yeah.
Or this is the cartoon, but here's a good one. This is Iron Man from like the mid to late 90s. Now take this is the one I was looking for. This is like the suit he wore for majority of the 90s. Now let's take Iron Man from, say, the movies, right? Well, Iron Man 2018, right? And you have something like this. It's a very different design, and as you said, they evolve over time and change with the different, like, what's the modern design choices.
Yeah, exactly.
Like here's his comic book look in the late 2000s for a while. Like hell, even compare the movie looks and look how they changed over time.
But I think it's ridiculous to say, oh,
There's a
this
10-year
entire
difference between that one and that one.
character, because what they were saying, the entire character is over sexualized because because of a few drawings that like, you know, that weren't even official comic book drawings. Like they're not in a comic book, right? Like
In that
Oh
case,
no, the
I
ones that
hope
they were
whoever said
complaining
that-
about, that first one was
Yeah.
by a comic book artist. I don't think it was
Yeah, and the
for the
cover-
comic book though.
Yeah,
I
you
hope
probably
whoever
should've
said
read
that
the
doesn't cover,
But-
porn at all.
Say what?
I said I hope whoever had said that doesn't discover porn at all. Of like
Yeah.
all the comic book, characters and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, speaking of which, well, let's just move on from talking about comic book art to the writers, because comic book writers have been acting unprofessional lately, very unprofessional. And it's hard to call them comic book professionals when they act like this. So here is one who told a comic fan to eat a bag of pre-effed dicks. Ain't
How
that
mature
swell?
See, this is, yeah.
I'm
that's
confused.
interesting.
Do they want customers?
So what did he respond to? That
Why
I don't know,
what was the initial
looking.
comment that the artist responded to the person?
Yeah.
I assume here. This is it. The guy called him an asshole because of this. Your ding dongs don't get to show up in my mentions to keep your civilian status. You can say whatever the hell you want anywhere you want, except in the mentions of someone else. What?
Oh, so essentially, people are mentioning him, like adding him, and then saying something, and he's saying, "Don't
Okay.
at me because you guys are just ruining my feed."
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I've never used Twitter, so I have no idea how it works.
Yeah.
So.
I think I don't use Twitter, but that's what I got from that is that people are tagging him and saying stuff, and then he's going, "Oh, you guys are being ding dongs because you're tagging me and it's showing up in my feed, so I'm not gonna consider you guys whatever."
Okay, I don't think that validates insulting them.
No.
I think the reasonable thing would to say, hey, can you please stop adding me? That's it.
Yeah, see, good lord, man, I'm talking about the dicks that show up in my mentions. So yeah, that's what he's talking about.
But again, being reasonable in these times, forget about it.
Wait, that Punisher art looks really cool.
Yeah, if you want to see cool Punisher art, check out the Brattle Gun story. That's a good one. But yeah, this is just awful, and this isn't even the worst of it.
Yeah, I'm looking at this.
That was,
one.
by the way, that was comic art. That was Marvel Comics writer Jerry Duggan telling fans to eat a bag of pre-F dicks. So
You know what I don't think?
we got should we do threats to EVS? So for those who don't know, EVS is Ethan Van Sciver. He used to do art for DC and Marvel. He did Flash Rebirth. He was drawing Wolverine at the time for Marvel at the time when they told him that he can't draw Wolverine smoking a cigar, even though he's about to go like chop 10 guys up.
Yeah, even though he's about to.
And the fact
massacre a
that
bunch of
cigars
people
don't
he can't
affect him.
smoke.
Because
I've always
he's effectively
wondered,
immortal.
I've always wondered about these kinds of laws we have in America. At least because oftentimes America is riding point for some of this stuff. But it's where like, hey, look, having like in video games, hey, going and eviscerating a demon with a chainsaw and seeing bloody guts spray everywhere and on the screen, and you wipe it off and it streaks a bit. Oh, all that perfectly, M-rated game, but hey, that's perfectly fine. If you're, if you're 14 and mom and dad say that's okay, no problem. However, you show a breast in any way, shape, or form. Whoa, that's sexualization. You can't have that. Think of the children. It's like, well, wait a minute. First off, half your players, generally speaking, are going to be able to look down their shirt and see a pair anyway. So first off, that doesn't matter. Second, you're essentially saying that inherently, just the very sight, because it's almost always female, just the very sight of a female is sexual. What are you teaching about, to kids about
it's like
sexuality?
it's
then?
almost like they don't believe human beings can exercise self-control. It's like self-control.
No,
What the hell's that?
That's
And
exactly
that's not even the worst of it. It's like, you know those Society of Virtue cartoons that Bacteria and I will post in the Discord every now and then. They have a funny one about exactly that, where it's like we're buying. It was a cartoon as like a parody of Disney buying Fox. So they have like they're not Avengers buying their not X-Men, and they're like, we're buying you. What? Yeah, except we're gonna have to cut down on all that, like, because we're showing all the stuff you do now to the kids. And he goes, wait, you're gonna show kids us decapitating people and stuff? Oh no, you can't. Well, yeah, that's fine. Decapitations, murder, kill, torture, that's all fine. You know what's not fine? Breasts. Female breasts. It's like, and they go into like how it's awful and it'll destroy civilizations throughout time. And
yeah, and it's just like,
it's like really, like as you said, yeah, half your audience can just look down.
like, and it's like, I mean, I don't want to go and hit up that old, usually incorrect statement that like, oh, comic books, video games, TV, whatever the new media is causing violence these days and all this stuff. But at the same point, what are you teaching kids when you go and make this stuff apparent that, well, hey, the very appearance of a naked female is sexual? And it's like, why?
Then it's going to become sexualized even more.
I mean, why would you push for this kind of an idea when very obviously you can have many cases where you have a naked man, naked woman, even freaking together, and it's not sexual.
Yeah.
But to always push that idea that it's always sexual all the time, like, no, come on.
Yeah, that's so.
Like,
just
you
to get
mature about it.
Yeah, so to get back on topic with this, so the reason I wanted to bring this up is because Ethan Van Sciver, he doesn't work for DC or Marvel anymore. He now does his own thing. He has Cyberfrog. It's his own comic, and obviously he has his great art. And I've seen him in a couple like live streams. He has his own YouTube channel called Comic Artist Pro Secrets. And he's a cool dude. Seems nice. And this guy is just like, I don't know what exactly was going on. He just comes out. Apparently. Yeah, it's saying it's okay. So Larry Hama's comment. Hama described Comicsgate as a group of comic pros who reviving waning careers by pandering to misogynists, racists, and homophobes. They have a hit list of creators they consider libtard SJWs. Pretty much everybody I admire in the business is on that list, so I am rather proud of my inclusion. And Ethan Van Sciver replies, I've got bad news for you, Larry Hama. If you were on a list, which there isn't, you wouldn't be on it. We love you. Richard C. Meyer especially admires you and cites your comics as the reason he chose to enlist and serve his country. Your G.I. Joe comics and their lessons in loyalty inspired us all to stand up for each other as your friends tried to exert pressure on us to betray what we knew was right. We stood behind Richard C. Meyer in his lawsuit against Mark Waid because of your G.I. Joe comics, and we have stood together in solidarity in not giving Kickstarter our business because of their persecution of conservatives and political discrimination. You taught us what it means to be a real American heroes. You inspire Comicsgate. And then he goes, and this is his response.
This is some
I can't
other
wait
person.
to see you at a show.
Okay, wait. This is not Larry Hama's response.
I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. This is someone else's. Sorry. So in response to this post, Wellman threatened by Van Sciver's physical violence. Threatened Van Sciver with physical violence, and this guy isn't even involved in it. He just goes, "I'm going to next time I see you at a show, I'm going to beat the living f out of you."
Yeah, I can't wait to.
Well, and that's
he continues.
That's always
it's
a good
like
sign of a intelligent argument in that when they go,
Yeah,
hey, no,
believe me, he
you
gets more.
taught
Even
us about these good values, and this is why this is our mindset of why we are doing this. And instead of going, hey, those are some good points. I might not agree with how you go and interpret them or how you're applying them, but hey, that's good that you're taking these values and trying to use them. Instead, it's I'm gonna punch you. Like, okay, so you're saying you couldn't come up with any better argument, any better counter, so you're just going to go and move all the way over to physical violence. Great,
yeah,
good for
like
you.
look, and he continues. I am literally going to beat your ass. How dare you insult legends like Larry Hump? First of all, how did he insult him? He just
didn't
praised
insult
him.
I was gonna say.
It's like, as well as our industry itself, which is failing. It is definitely failing. If you don't see it, you are blind. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. So, and then he goes, F you, I'm a libtard with fists. You're going to feel them next time we are at a convention together. I'm going to beat the living F out of you in front of everybody. You are such a little cowardly bitch, Ethan Van Sciver. Let's fight. Let's fight. Let me feed you some fist sandwich, you little bit. First of all, it's a knuckle sandwich. Everyone knows that. And then he goes, I might make a video about this dude, considering it. He did make a video, by the way. He did make a video.
So that's just sad. Honestly, that's just sad. Like, if you disagree with a person's political views or whatever their personal views are, that's fine. That's perfectly fine.
Oh, and it
There's
continues.
no problem with that. But when you start going and saying, well, the thing of it is that because of how I define your values, it's not how you define your values, how I define your values and why you do things, not just what you do, but why you're doing it. I'm assigning my own reasons to your actions, and because of what I am assuming your reasons are, I'm going to go and cause physical violence to you. Like, no, come on, that's not you.
Talk about reader
espousing your
interpretation, right?
politics. That just means you're a
And
fucking
so,
asshole.
and what's even worse here, might I point out, is nowhere in that post did he ever
He didn't
insult him. He's
anyone.
literally praising the man.
Yeah,
and
he's
saying
praising, like,
that
dude, you're
it's
the
due
reason
to
we
your
exist.
influence.
Yeah.
It's due to your influence that we're taking these stances, and this guy's going, why are you insulting him?
Like, here, look at this. You give me your
That's
home
just
address
sad.
and give me the police an actual reason to be concerned, because I will come to your house and blow your effing face off your skull. That is a fact. And that's the thing, like, I'm coming to beat your ass, son. Why not make it a feature at an upcoming comic convention? Could be fun. I'm going to beat your ass either way. But let's let people have an opportunity to enjoy me beating your ass in public. Bro, there aren't going to be any more conventions. You're going to have to wake up. Like, he's not wrong. Like, I just want to say also, Ethan Van Sciver, I love you, man. You do great art. And this is ridiculous. Like, he asked for his address.
It's just so sad too to see when he's just going. Hey, I mean, literally, there was zero stuff in there that was any kind of an insult, any way of calling out. There wasn't even any, like, if they were being like sly about some stuff or something like that. Like, okay, I can understand some angle, but he's like,
Yeah, there
no,
wasn't any, like,
the
hidden
values
whatever.
you showed are the reason we are taking these stances. You might not agree with the reasons why we take them or what they're about, but showing those values, living those values are the reasons. Those values that you taught us are the reasons we're doing this. And for for people to go and be like, take it so personally that, again, it's not even that you disagree with me, but the very idea that if you disagree with me, you must be such a horrible person. You must be X, Y, Z, A, B, C. That I am assuming, like, again, not something that you have evidence of a individual being a horrible person or anything like that, but just your assumption of, well, you believe X, Y, Z or like X, Y, Z or whatever, and so you must be a horrible person with no further thought, no further investigation, and then feeling so full of yourself, so sure of yourself, to threaten physical violence to a person because of it. That's the very definition of childishness.
Yeah,
it's immature to the extreme.
Like, look at this. Like, he even asked, like, do you have family? And, like, tell me where you live so I can drive up to your house and deliver some ass whipping you did. The ass whipping you did. And he goes, like, dude, just take care of your family during this hard time. And I respect that. Like, that's seriously, like, that's good advice. You should do that. I'm doing it. So, everyone else is doing it. It doesn't matter if I have family or not. Did you vote for Trump? And then it's like, why does that matter? Like, who cares?
Yeah. And so the thing is here, I don't think he's seriously going, oh, I care about your family. He's basically trying to say, can you leave me alone? I'm just in a nice way. And this guy's just really not taking the hint. Like,
So
Yeah.
the
And you know,
antagonist here
even
sounds like
not.
he's drunk or high or something.
Yeah, like even if he's not like trying to
Like,
just
you
do that.
don't
That's a
someone else
legitimate
disagree
point,
with
dude. Focus on taking care of your family. Stop getting
Yeah,
worked up
and I
about
mean-
nonsense.
I feel
That's
like
what it is.
even if he was high or drunk,
It's no
well, I've
excuse.
drank before,
No, it's
but
no-
I've never said to
Not
somebody,
to
I'll
mention,
blow
that
your
alone,
freaking face
those
off.
tweets alone are classic examples of assault, because assault is a threat of physical violence. Very
Yeah.
clearly, several times over, that is assault. You could go to jail for that.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people
And then
say that,
so-
and it's true.
I mean,
What's this one here?
This is, I think, a follow-up article.
No, because it's saying that there were people in real life saying stuff to him here.
Oh crap! Look, yeah. SJWs threatened me if I performed for fans at Gotham City Pizza. I went anyway and entertained the crowd drawing Batman next morning.
So scroll up, because there was sorry.
Where
There's right here.
Okay.
Yeah. So this user tweeted,
good
hope
John
you and
Trent.
your CUNT wife have an accident at the shooting range, you Nazi prick. Blow your effing hands off and quit making shit art.
By the way, I learned this recently too. Nazi's a word that YouTube doesn't like either. I don't know why. I'm just glad we're not monetizing this yet, so that we don't have to worry about it. But yeah.
And so what are these? What's this damning evidence down here that he's a legit homophobic Nazi or something?
I don't know. Is it comic artist Ethan Van Sciver is either a legit homophobic Nazi or is pretending to be one? Either way, I'm no longer supporting him.
so they're either pretending to be one, which means you don't have evidence of them doing it, because you're saying they're pretending, or they are one. Again, I just love this whole mentality that anyone who disagrees with my enlightened ideas must be every horrible thing out there, because no one who has two brain cells to rub together could ever disagree with me. It couldn't possibly be, policy decisions. It couldn't possibly be that, hey, maybe they have different things that they're looking for, or they just, it doesn't implement. It's like maybe they want the same things I do, but the policies out there don't implement it in the same way that they would like. Doesn't matter. Can't possibly be true. Nope. You must be a XYZ ABC, whatever the flavor of the month is. Like,
Yeah.
come on. It's
totally.
Yeah. Also, I just
It's
want
totally
That's
inconceivable.
fine.
yeah.
It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to go and make your brain explode. It's perfectly fine to go and be like, hey, you are pro-choice and you are pro-life, and that's perfectly fine, and you can have valid reasons for both positions. There's no problem with that. It's not
Wow,
going to go
so-
and blow your heads to go and have a conversation with someone who disagrees with you.
So the
Politically
shop was
speaking,
vandalized because he was there. That's ridiculous. That doesn't even affect him. That affects the guy who owns
Yeah,
the
I was
shop.
gonna say
That's-
they're trying to harm the guy.
Then again, though, the people who do this kind of stuff, they don't care that it's hurting someone
Well,
else. It's the same kind
Yeah,
of
they
thing.
obviously
obviously,
don't
but
operate
still.
on logic
For
either.
they're the kind of people who would riot in the city, break into the small businesses there and rob stuff and do all that stuff, and then go, well, it's X group's fault because they made me angry.
Yeah.
Well, what
Well,
you're saying is you can't control yourself, and you break into places or and loot and riot when you're angry. That's not on them. That's on you.
yeah. I do want to say, shout out to John F. Trent for this article. I've actually I've seen him on a stream and chatted with him in a chat once, and he's a cool dude. And also, this is Ethan Van Sciver's YouTube channel right here. So subscribe to that if you want, and ask him about the train story. I'm sure that won't bug him. He tells a funny train story. For people that have heard the train story, it's funny and gross, but mostly funny. So
But
yeah,
yeah,
that's Ethan Van Sciver being threatened. Next we got. Let's save this one for last. We got Valiant Comics senior editor claims America has the worst fans. Ain't that swell?
On that note, I actually got to run here, guys. So
All right.
See you guys later.
Yeah.
Well, do you think just wrap it up then here?
I mean, it's fine if you guys want to keep going.
I mean, we just hit 3
we're-
hours too, so.
Almost.
Yeah.
We're at 2 hours and 46 minutes, according to the recording software.
It's a good point. We probably should wrap it up.
So yeah, let's just
But-
quickly wrap it up. How this woman just hates American fans. And I'll just skip the over sexualized characters. We already did that.
So I'm gonna go ahead and guess American fans are the worst because they voice their complaints.
Probably.
Is that what?
I mean, I have
happening
the
there?
article up here. You can read it.
Or yeah, here I'll read it.
Let me know if I need to scroll down. I'm just looking at the notes. See what else I have on the thingamabob here. Alright. Alright, not covering that. Someone actually, a viewer asked me to ask you guys, are any of you fans of Doctor Who? Because he wanted to know.
No.
Because I
Like
don't watch
older
it.
Doctor Who, so
Either,
like meaning like
any.
the reboot through like I've only seen through who's the guy before Capaldi?
I don't know, but I think he just wanted to know. I don't know.
But
All I know
in
is
general, yes. More recent stuff, not as much.
okay, because he wanted to ask if he asked if we were going to be covering any of the Doctor Who news, and I said no, but I'll ask. So
Yeah, probably again. Not if it was like going over like old stuff, short, recent stuff, not really.
yeah, and I mean I've made the joke from what I heard. It's Nurse Who now, so. So we've already kind of covered Marvel comic writers going out of their way to insult fans online. We haven't covered... so Disney borrow money to stay afloat. Employees left in limbo, and Hollywood's asking for government for money, which I think they got turned down. But still, I mean, stop paying all those executives billions of dollars and just funnel that money to your workers. Problem solved. Like, we know for a fact that's how it works in gaming. Like, all the executives in like, EA or Activision and Bethesda, they get, like, billions. Like, their bonuses are billions of dollars or millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they don't need that much money, especially at this point. Like, just funnel that down to the workers, especially during these hard times. Spider-Man and Fantastic Four writer Dan Slott, aka the guy who doesn't know how to write Spider-Man and is an idiot, says F you to Trump voters.
Again, I still love this whole idea that if you vote against how I think you should vote or whatever policies I think you should have, you must be XYZ ABC. It's like, so people aren't allowed to have their own opinions. They should just be good little thoughtless drones of whatever you, the overlord, say. Good to know.
Ding,
Thanks.
ding, ding. You got it right. Give this man a cookie.
Ooh, cookie.
Don't worry, they just don't want you to ask questions. That's all.
Consume product. Consume product. That's all it is.
And I mean, and
Let me just
again,
say this.
It's fine to have differing opinions, and it's fine for the people who don't vote, or like the same policies that I do, or whatever else. That's perfectly fine. It's just be willing to go and engage people, even ones you disagree with politically, in open, honest discussion. Not things like, oh, well, you say that you're against open borders, so when did you know first that you were a Nazi? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Oops. Anyway, are we not allowed to say that on stream?
No,
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
fine.
Well, wait.
But it doesn't matter anymore. But it's ridiculous. And I just want to say, you are not a consumer. You are a customer.
Shop around.
We are all
get a
customers,
second
not
opinion.
consumers. And the customer is always right. But they want to choose their customers. So this way they can listen to the ones that they don't and ignore the ones they don't want to. So yeah, let me just here. So this is. So Dana Schwartz is writing the She-Hulk TV series on Disney Plus, which I would have been ecstatic for if this was like 10 years ago when I wanted one. But I just don't have interest in the Marvel movies anymore. I kind of lost interest a little bit before Infinity War. And so now that Endgame's kind of happened, to me at least, the MCU kind of seems done. I mean, all the characters that we liked are going to be gone.
I think. Oh, so fan gatekeeping is a profoundly toxic subculture. In retrospect, it seems impossible to overstate the cultural damage done by South Park. The show that portrayed earnestness as the only sin and taught that mockery is the ultimate inoculation against all criticism. What?
Well, I think I actually did hear that recently South Park has come under some, or the creators of South Park have
this
come under
woman
some
recently, I don't know where the article is, I'll have to look for it later, but recently
Sorry, what did they come under fire for?
They came under fire, I guess, for an episode they did. I think what people don't understand is that nothing is safe from South Park. They'll make fun of anything and everything.
They're going to make fun of everyone, whether you're left,
they
right,
have no
center,
prejudice against anything.
Any ideology or idea you have, they're going to make fun of you no matter what. And it's like, cool, that's great. We're all freaking equal in the eyes of South Park.
Yeah, there's no one more or less deserving. They make fun of everyone. There's no one that they won't make fun of. That's the beauty of it. And I don't know where the more recent article is, but she recently made a comment saying men are trash. And I was like, well, that's a good way to get readers to.
Well, and I've
or
always
viewers,
loved this idea of like, hey, I'm going to go and insult people and then expect them to slavishly follow me. It's like, really?
Here, she compares.
I mean, come on.
Men are trash, apparently.
Oh, so wait, no, she says
every straight relationship.
Oh, yeah, men, and then.
So I wonder then if she would be willing to go up to her parents, because presumably she was not born in a test tube. I wonder if she would be willing to go up to her parents and go, "You are trash for being straight. How dare you have a sexuality that I don't agree with?" So it's like, wait a minute, aren't we saying that being gay is perfectly okay? Well, at the same point, assuming we want equality. Same thing, being straight is okay, being bi is okay, etc., etc., etc. Is that not a thing, or only some?
That is every straight relationship. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, wait. Go back into that page on that.
Yeah. I just wanted to make that. I just wanted to make that Orville joke.
She has specifically taken issue with white men claiming they were gatekeepers of literature and important books. She's even called for banning of books written by white men.
Oh,
obviously
good
we shouldn't ban all the books
it's
by
not
white
all
dudes.
men, just the white men. Good to know that she's a casual racist as well.
That's
I think
really,
it just
it's
shows
like
how people.
here's the thing: if I were to take a white character, if I were to take a black character and say like a comic book character, and I make a film, adapt the character to a film, but in the film the dude's white, people would lose their minds. But if I were to take a white character and make him black, no one cares.
No, it's called racial equality.
It's called racism. It's the same thing as we hate men. That's called sexism. It's not a one-way thing. It's a two-way street.
Exactly. It's like equality.
You can be sexist against men and women. That's why it's called sexism.
Respect while disrespecting everyone else. It's no. You get respect, and that's given to you, but you also need to respect everyone else. Otherwise, you are the problem. That's part of equality.
Well, and if you read her last tweet here, our ideas of what the important books are weren't built in a vacuum. They were created back in a time when books by women and people of color were inherently thought of as lesser. So essentially she's saying, why do we think of these as important books? Because they're from a time where certain people weren't allowed to participate. Okay, so you're saying we should just get rid of these books because of the past, I guess. So she's.
That's the thing. It's like we have to retroactively change the history because it doesn't fit our narratives or agenda. Like,
because
no, I'm sick.
Cultural acceptance.
Yeah, it's like I have way too much personal experience with people changing history. It's called,
yeah, really.
I mean, if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me just say this. There are still countries that say the Holocaust didn't happen. That is one of the things that I deal with, and still that I have dealt with and still deal with in terms of people changing history. It's like, no, history. We have to learn from history so it doesn't repeat itself. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
You learn from your mistakes and your successes.
Yeah, so she's essentially saying because the culture that we had back then doesn't fit the idea of a culture that we have now, we shouldn't have anything from that culture.
Yeah,
So
it's
we
like
shouldn't have books. We should.
Well,
It's
in that
saying
case,
like
no
just
books,
because
years
one
ago-
thing
no
was
writing.
yeah,
You shouldn't have any writing either. You shouldn't have any technology. No technology at all, because that's all based on stuff
exactly.
that
Just because
some white man somewhere, I'm sure, worked on most of this stuff. No
we should get
internet,
rid of all
can't have
Apple
that.
tech because of Steve Jobs.
No, not all Apple tech. All technology. You can't have internet. You can't have power. Houses. Shit. Let's see. You know, I'm sure there's been white people who have built
Yeah.
houses. Can't have those. So gotta
And it's
go live in the streets somewhere.
specifically because they were created back in a time when women, people of color were
Well,
inherently
that's the
thought
whole
as lesser.
reason with why Star Wars, Ghostbusters, all these remakes or reboots or sequels that are just crap. Terminator, Dark Fate, they're all like trashing on the white men, propping up the women. It's like because of that. It's exactly that same thing. It's like, oh, you know, we have to, you know, make Luke Skywalker a piece of crap now because he's a white man, and white men are bad.
It also goes on to say that we need to kill the Western canon.
You're making a She-Hulk series. That is
So
Western
it's like-
canon.
This is just
She-Hulk was
ridiculous.
made. It's a Western comic book.
I truly believe
Western is
that
only
if you
good when she likes it, and it's bad whenever she decides it's bad.
yeah,
Hypocrisy.
like
Oh,
if
stop,
you
excuse me.
Oh my God, this
cannot
goes on forever.
handle like if you're not able to handle a book from the past, you know what? If they banned it from reading lists in school because it had some form of something bad in it, okay, who cares, right? But if you're saying we should ban these books when there's nothing wrong
Like,
with the
To Kill a
the
Mockingbird.
text that it reads,
Some great lessons there.
yeah, but like it's not even like she's saying ban the books based on their content. She's saying ban the books based on the time they were written in.
Yeah,
She's
and
not judging them.
let me
Not
just
even the
remind you.
time they were, not even the time they were written in, but ban them solely because of the author's race.
Yeah,
and
the
yeah.
material
Gender
isn't
and
being
sexuality.
judged on by its merit. It's being judged by the person who wrote it.
It's
I
not
do
even
find it
judged by the
amazing-
person. It's judged by their physical appearance.
I do find it amazing how, for some people, obviously for most people, this isn't the case, but for some people, how entitled they feel to be openly, casually racist, sexist in general, and as always with all bigots across time, no matter what group it is, they always have a justification. They always have a reason. Well, of course it's okay for me to act like this. They aren't real humans. They aren't people like you and me. They aren't part of the elite.
Oh my
The,
God, how are we back in the
whatever
1800s?
your in group is, they're part of the accepted out group that I accept as the out group. And then it's okay. It's okay to go and do violence to them because they aren't people. It's okay to hurt them, attack them, belittle them, do any number of horrible things because
Yeah.
they aren't like us. I just find that how amazing it is that we're supposedly living in these great enlightened times. We have all this great technology, and we're still the same old stupid humans that we always have been.
Yep.
Yep, pretty much. And I just want to add that, like, this is no different than being denied. Like, this has happened a lot. Like, there was I don't remember, this may or may not have been a Super Bowl commercial, but I just remember it was a commercial with Scarlett Johansson promoting SodaStream. And because SodaStream was, I think it was made by a Jewish guy, people were like, literally, I'm not going to use it, I'm not going to buy it, whatever. It's like, that's anti-Semitism.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're not going to buy a product because the guy's Jewish, that's anti-Semitism.
I mean, if you don't want to buy a product, that's fine. But if you're specifically saying,
Yeah,
I'm not going to buy
like,
products because
Look, I'm not
they
going to
are
knock you
Jewish,
for not buying
like-
SodaStream. I mean, it's not the best product in the world. You don't need it, but it is a good. It's not a bad product. It's just not a necessity. But my point being is, like, yeah, if you're not going to buy it, you shouldn't be because of the person, not even the person, because of the physical or beliefs of a person making
non-changeable
it.
attributes of this person.
It should be because of the product itself. Maybe the product's faulty. Maybe it has bad reviews. Maybe you
Maybe
just
you don't like
need
the
it.
freaking color of it. Whatever.
Yeah, it can be something stupid as that. Exactly. Yeah.
You know, it's
and-
perfectly fine to not like a product, but when you're saying you don't like a product simply because the person who made it or person who worked on it or whatever is, this, they're tall, they're short, they have blue eyes, they have gray eyes, they have brown eyes, they're black, they're white, they're gay, they're straight, they're bi, they're whatever the fuck. That means you're a bigot. I mean, clear and simple. That means you're a bigot. There is no justification for it.
And that's what these people are. They're a bigot, but no, it's okay because it's against white men or men.
And again, there's always a justification for it. There's always a reason why my bigotry is okay. Yours isn't, of course, but mine is okay because blah 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 blah. Whatever.
Yeah, she literally tries to justify it by saying, "Oh, well, I'm not talking about all white men. I'm talking about white men in this specific time frame."
And I was like,
so
that doesn't matter.
Because white men had power in this specific time frame. It's different, right? Is what she's saying.
Oh, and exactly. If you were to say, all Jewish people hoard money and have a secret stash of gold, a la South Park, I mean, again, that doesn't make it right. And you can't go and try to cover it up afterwards. You're like, oh, well, I'm not a bigot.
Let me just tell you, this is one Jew that does not have any gold and is broke. So.
Well, technically, you have a computer. There's gold in the computer.
Okay, fair point. Still, I am broke. This computer makes me broke.
Yeah,
building this computer broke me. But
no. It didn't make you broke. It was an investment.
Yeah, it was an investment that almost put me
also
under.
Here, let's throw in some actual more stuff rather than just trash talking and going over trash talking and all this stuff. If you are looking to build a computer, I highly recommend PCPartPicker.com because let's compare prices, get all your parts together, make sure it's all compatible, see how much power you need. Great stuff. If you're looking to build a computer, start there.
We need a sponsor.
There. Now we can say this is helpful and information.
It is.
No, it is helpful information, especially for those that.
Were we wrapping up
here?
So
we just have 2 topics left, and then we'll just wrap it up. So let's just brush over this. Gotham High.
Don't know.
It's a young adult novel featuring Chinese Bruce Wayne. And yeah, you can already see where they were going with this.
I find it hard to believe
on its own, it's like, okay, fine, but how are they going to write the story around that?
It's one of those things where you can literally take away the names, right? Like Catwoman or whatever, right? Selena Kyle, Bruce Wayne. Take away all the names, and it doesn't change anything.
Wait. Literally,
also, the fact that there's a gay Alfred and he's his uncle.
In this quote. Tells me everything that's wrong with this. Bruce Wayne is the billionaire. He's the richest man alive. So I thought, wouldn't it be fun if his family was Chinese? That made it feel real.
That's racist.
In that sentence, just destroyed the entire.
Yep.
I'm just confused. Like it's like if it was like a reimagining of Gotham City.
Yeah, like if it was
in,
like an
Elseworlds
Elseworlds
mainland and like the unique problems and struggles and the interaction with the culture there, that might be really
what we
interesting.
just did? We just put more thought and pitched a better idea. We just created a Chinese Batman Elseworlds story from like the 90s.
And so,
you ever read any of those?
I mean, it'd be interesting to see taking that culture.
It's like it'd be like what if
and see how that works out.
Like during the whatever dynasty in China, Batman existed then. Like the like a DC Elseworlds, like a proper DC Elseworlds. But nope, they didn't think that much.
I mean, did they literally just change the names to Chinese names and that was it?
No, I think he's still called Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Even though I've heard people throw around Bruce Wayne, which is really funny.
And this is what's funny to me, right? Is that it's like in this sentence, she completely like. I feel like with these other comic book characters, right, like Snowflake, Safe Space, they're trying to say, no, we're still trying to make comic books, but we're still trying to, create them in a modern way. In this, she literally says, wouldn't it be cool if Bruce Wayne was Chinese? Like, it's not, wouldn't it be cool if Bruce Wayne grew up in China? Wouldn't it be cool if he's a different color?
And stuff like that. It's literally just, hey, I mean, it'd be literally like saying, hey, wouldn't it be cool if Bruce Wayne was gay? It's like, again, you can't make a character where the whole
which they made Wolverine bi.
If you want to make a character that espouses and embodies a attribute or value or something like that, sure, but they still have to be more than that. You can't have the entire character be defined by an attribute or something like that. That's not a character. That's a caricature.
This to me is even worse than saying, oh, what if? Because if you say, okay, what if Bruce Wayne was gay? I guess you could write that in some way that it like actually had an effect on his life, like very, very intimately, right? But like whether or not you would want to write a story on that is a different thing. But it's not even that. It's literally the core idea is, what if we draw Bruce Wayne in a different color?
Yeah. By the way, remember
It's
when I was
literally-
saying don't turn older characters gay just because you can? This is a good example of that.
Wait, see, it just defeats the entire purpose of the love triangle setup.
I know. Now,
Wait,
now
who
they're
are
just
talking
all
about now?
screwing each other.
Wolverine and Cyclops are gay, apparently.
They're
What the fuck? Like, I mean,
No,
part-
no,
part of
it's
their
not
whole
only that they're
defining thing was that
they're
always
all screwing each other.
right.
It's all three. It's like a three-way bang.
Oh my lord.
Oh my!
It's awful. It's
And
like
I mean, the thing of it is too, if it was written well, I can accept it. Like, okay, sure, you're going off on a bit of a tangent here, but that's fine if it's written well. But the problem is, it's almost never written well. It's just done to just shove your face in and going, look at it. If you don't agree with me, you're hateful. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, you just suck balls at writing. Stop, go back to high school,
insert
take a
joke,
high
don't
school
insert
fucking
joke,
writing
don't insert
class,
joke.
and have them tell you that, hey, if you make a character entirely based on one attribute, that's not a character. You need to flesh them out. You need to give them more than that. Come on.
sorry.
Like,
When you said,
I'm not even a
when you
freaking
said
writer.
that the
I
writer
just,
sucked balls.
read books, and I know this. Like,
Yeah,
come
it's
on.
honestly we can write a better comic than these people
Yeah,
because
really.
we know the characters better than they do. That's the problem. And
Anyway, so what's next?
so we finally have some good news. Well, before we do some good news, I just want to say New York is, as of 8:30 this morning, we're at 98,308 cases in the city. So
Holy.
yeah, we're effed. I mean, we're pretty much a war triage here.
You'll be happy to know that in my town there is 0 cases.
Nice.
Lucky
No.
Summer.
Get it right. There are
Well,
0
the thing about it-
reported cases.
There
Aw.
are 0 current cases. The problem was
My
the
point
last-
of bringing it up is that, like, yeah, our city alone is like completely falling apart because of this. Even though for some reason our mayor deems it necessary to still go to his gym in Brooklyn during the whole "you should stay quarantined and lockdown" part.
Well, remember. It's do what I
Anyway,
say,
the
not what
point
I
is,
do.
if our city is falling apart, which our city wasn't exactly in great shape to begin with, but it was in better shape than the comic book industry. The comic book industry is gonna fail. Like, we're seeing the end of the comic book industry right now. Comics are gonna be gone, or at least the main guys are gonna be gone. Diamond Comic, Diamond, the publishing company, or not publishing. Sorry, they do all the deliveries.
Printing?
They're not the printing. Thank you. They won't be able to. They stopped, I think, and a lot of companies are thinking going digital, which is gonna just further destroy the comics because comic shops are already going extinct.
Comics, even in the digital format, comics. Now, if you're saying paper comics are going to go extinct because of it, yeah, it could definitely go and push them through it. But comics in general, people still like the art style and still read them. They might move fully to digital. That is entirely possible.
True, but the problem is then it's easier to pirate.
Medium.
Hey, look at it this way. If the quality of comics that we have to look forward to or what we just went over, then dying is a good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right, so, eventually it'll be revived, and some new guy, like say, Todd, some guy makes his comic, he's a fan, he decided to make a new comic, a new IP, and it becomes like the new Marvel or something. I don't know, like maybe it'll eventually revive comics in the physical format, but comic shops are not going to be, are already closing.
Oh yeah.
My local comic shop closed the local comic shop I had when I was in high school closed a few years ago, and the comic shop I go to now, Forbidden Comics, they recently put out a statement saying that we're closing right now because the city's in lockdown, and we're and we don't want to get our employees sick and all that. Like, they're not essential, so they're closing, but they're not sure they're going to reopen. And they've been around for years, and they don't only sell comics, so they could still be open, but they're not even sure. And I'm guessing most of their sales these days are probably on memorabilia.
Yeah, the unfortunate reality of the digital revolution is that a lot of brick and mortar shops, take Blockbuster for example, a lot of them are going to go out of business because it doesn't make any sense for me to go to Blockbuster to rent something when I can find all the material that I want online, and I don't have to go anywhere, waste gas. I don't have to deal with people. So
yeah, well,
it's unfortunate, but that's just the way things are going.
Yeah, and the hard times everyone's hitting right now is not helping anything, and it's just essentially accelerating the death of comic books and other things. So let's just get into some good news.
Yeah.
Paul Dini is making a Batman comic. Now, for those who don't know, Paul Dini worked on some DC animated series crossover comics, like tie-in comics, back in the day, and he's doing it again. And I actually read it. It's pretty good. I can say it's good, and it's in the art style, and it's like new adventures of Batman and Robin kind of area. It's a good issue, and it's nice to see some good comics finally coming back. Here's the cover art here. You can clearly tell it's the Batman animated series kind of stuff. And yeah, I'm glad to say. Yeah, here's the. I think a panel from it. So. Yeah, it's clearly the animated series back in.
Yeah.
So and I read it. It's a good read. It's short, but it's a good read. Obviously, there's going to be more because it ended on a cliffhanger. So.
If
it's only the first issue, so.
Some money, they should just go and get some similar writers. If they can't get the writers, get some similar writers to who wrote the animated.
Get Bruce Timm back. He's the guy. He birthed the freaking DC animated
stuff
universe.
Or even having stuff like Batman Beyond.
Right.
I mean, that was such a great way to show.
Bruce Timm was that too.
Here's Gotham. 30 years or so, 50 years in the future, along with, and here's all this like high tech stuff, and it's like, sure, it helped some things along, but in other things, it only exacerbated the problems and made them worse. Here's what that looks like. Like, I mean, do stuff like that. That was amazing. Like you want some easy money? Start bringing that kind of stuff back and into a similar vein of that.
No, but you can't do that. It's not politically correct enough. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, that's the reason why we're seeing this in such a I didn't even know about this until someone else told me about it.
Yeah.
So, I was chatting with someone, and they're like, "Hey, did you hear Paul Dini's doing a new Batman comic?" And I thought he was joking. So.
We got a link for that.
The comic?
Yeah, if you want to put that in.
I do, but I probably shouldn't put it here. I can link it to you later.
Okay.
But yeah, I definitely recommend checking it out if you can. It's a good read. It's short, but it's good, and hopefully it continues. But yeah, Bruce Timm clearly knows Batman. Like the Batman the animated series, outside of the original 70s through 90s comics, I would say, he knows Batman. That's the best version of Batman we've gotten outside of the comics, the animated series. I don't think I need to argue with anyone on that.
Yeah.
So. All right, I think on that note we are done. Anything you guys want to add, or be good to go?
I just want to go and take a moment to thank our sponsor, Rage. Shut up! I'm kidding.
Or Manscaped. No, I don't know. Maybe we should get a sponsor at some point. I don't know. What do we even do with the money?
Buy ships.
Yeah, come on.
We use it to fund our Star Citizen projects. Actually,
$10,000 later.
Let's set a date for the next episode on the air right now. Because I'm free both March 2nd and March 9th.
Yeah, I'm good whenever.
I'm good to, just let me know.
Alright, so you guys want to just do March 2nd? May 2nd, sorry, May 2nd.
Yeah.
Alright, so, It'd probably have to be around 9, if that's all right.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, so
All right.
9 on May 2nd will be the next episode, and we may do some videos in between just because we've been talking about it, but they're not going to be like this. So
Bear in mind, that is a Saturday.
yeah, May 2nd is a Saturday. Should it not be?
No. I'm making sure there's no.
Yeah, Saturday, May 2nd, Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yep.
All right.
And
For those of you who don't know what Eastern Standard Time is, go to Google. I can tell you.
yes, Google can tell you. Google knows all. Remember, just effing Google it. Yes, that's yeah.
And we'll have links also to the first episode as well.
Yeah, and I've already made a playlist, so both episodes will be in a playlist.
Excellent.
And this should be uploaded relatively quickly this time because I actually managed to record it while streaming it. So, yeah, I guess we'll just sign off. I'm Mandalorian Merc, also known as Mando Merc. I'm joined with Cam, Data, and Kulios, and we don't really have a tagline yet. How about this? We are.
Yeah, peace.
I made this as a joke the other day. We are ruthless. We are the customers. We are fandom.
We are farmers.
Okay.
We'll work on it.
Yeah. Until next time, everyone. Take care.
We'll say this is us receding into the shadows.
Yeah. Or this is the we're the shadows signing off. I don't know. We'll work on it. Everyone, take care. Stay safe out there. Wash your hands. Social distance yourselves. Quarantine the works, and have a good time. Remember to have a good time. All right.
Safe.
Have fun. Bye.